Hello, hello. Welcome back, CCS. I've returned. I'm Niall, your host, a now Masters mid laner, and I'm joined here today by Elsa. Elsa, tell us a bit about yourself, real quick.
Good to see everybody. I'm back. I'm Elsa the Queen, play-by-play and color caster extraordinaire here in the CCS, and I'm excited to be here with Niall and Huffzone, and I'm excited for the matchup tonight.
Yep, and we got special guest Zone on the analyst desk tonight.
Of
How you feeling?
course.
What's up with
Dude,
you?
I'm feeling good. I'm the people don't know. I'm the super top for PGO. I think that's all I need to say. I don't need to
Oh,
say
there we
anything else,
go.
right? That's
Tell
it.
us tell us exactly how to say your name.
It's P Huff Zone.
Okay.
P
P
Huff
Huff.
Zone.
So puff is like the easy way to say it. The H
All
is
right.
silent. Yeah. I
Not
was like,
Got it.
I was talking in general chat the other day. It's like it stands for Paint Huffers, which was our old Dominion 5v5 mobile fire used to do like weekend tournaments for it. So that was like our team name.
I respect it. Well, let's get into the discussion. So, first off, right off the bat, Predictive Gaming Odin, your team Zone, gave Collective Effort their first loss of the season last week. What
Called
do we
it.
think?
Go for it, Zone.
Okay, so going into it, their draft was like, can I like just go straight into it? Their
Yeah,
draft
yeah.
was super BM game one. Like it had like zero engage. It was all like 200-year crap. Like they picked like Akali Viego. So like if they didn't win lane, like they were just gonna lose out of game. And they didn't win lane. And it was just a BM like draft. I don't know. Their draft, I don't know if that's how they normally draft for the other teams, but I don't know. You can't kind of do that. We have pretty solid laners, I think, for the most part.
Gotcha. You think
And
they just went for the pub stomp comp
yeah,
and weren't
yeah, of
prepared?
course. Do you blame them? They're like what, 7-1 right now? Like I would go for the pub stomp comp. Like I don't blame them at all. But it was just kind of that ain't gonna work. That ain't gonna fly.
Elsa, did you notice anything for game one?
Well, yeah, thanks to P Huff Zone being able to stream it, I was glad to be able to watch it from his perspective, watch the game. And like I would have to agree. I think that it was definitely a very close series. It was a 2-1 second game, collective effort. They did kind of play really well. They were able to kind of snowball off of the mid game. But overall, obviously PGO, they came out stronger. Game one was a little bit slower than game three, but I almost thought that game one was a little bit more impressive in that way. Definitely saw y'all just showing a lot of mental fortitude despite how close that match was. Obviously, seeing it from the top lane perspective, but playing the Shen, especially in the first game, Zone was on, and so he was really involved. So able to see a lot of it. It was fun to watch.
It was a fun game to play, to be honest. I like Collective. They're a bunch of good guys. I played with what 3/5 of the team in the All Stars match. So like there was a lot of banter going on then too about our match. So it was a good game. It was a good series.
So after game one, how did their draft switch up? How did you guys end up dealing with it?
All right, I gotta pull up the match history because I'm gonna be honest, I don't remember half these games. Hold on.
You got punked by Aatrox in game two.
Oh yeah, that's right. That's right. We left the Aatrox open and they literally insta slammed it. They insta locked it. And as soon as they locked it, I was like, oh god. I think me creating out is like he's like an Aatrox one trick, right? That champ's kind of annoying. He was popping off. I'll give him credit. He was yeah, that was an issue. So I think we banned it in game three, if I recall correctly. Yeah, we went back to banning it. And then he picked Set in the Camille, which is a losing lane. So it was and then Barley had the counter for the LeBlanc with the mouse pick and just locked it down. And we had a ton of lockdown, and Philly B couldn't get a lead. I think we closed. That was a quick game, right? Yeah, like
Yeah,
23 minutes.
the third
Yeah,
one was a lot faster.
yeah, it was a quick one.
Yeah, for sure.
Elsa, you got anything to add about the series?
Well, I mean, I was going to talk a little bit about, so now that Collective Effort has lost this series, we've kind of considered them to be the best team in the league for quite a while just because of their record. It's very to disprove that. So, given that they lost this series, it's important to reevaluate where they stand amongst the other teams. And for me, this is certainly it shows a chink in the armor, and I think that Huffzone really hit the nail on the head when he talked about how the drafts were just a bit BM. And, even on the desk, we have spoken to in the past the way that Collective Effort, they just kind of seem to draft whatever the hell they want. They
It
are
works.
naturally very strong players, right? So it does generally work. But finally, when you go against a team like PGO, who has this kind of like raw strength, especially in the solo lanes, this kind of mechanical ability, then that starts to fall apart. So even though they lost this series, it's a chink in the armor for me. It shows that their game plan wasn't fail safe. So they do need to reevaluate, maybe be, practicing a few more like explicit drafts so where their team comps can really kind of have more cohesion, because that really fell apart, especially in the third game. So
Yeah,
that can be kind of tough to adjust. A lot of teams, at least what I've seen in amateur, they run these pub stomp win lane win game comps because it's the easiest to execute on as the individual. Especially like in amateur level play, like it can be hard to build synergy, and sometimes players don't mesh, so they cover that weakness by running these sorts of comps. So we'll have to see if Collective can actually adapt and see if they are really threatening as a team and
They
not
can
just
do
5
it.
individual demons.
they can do it. I think they'll 2-0 this week. Who are they playing this week?
they're against Goldfish this week.
Yeah, they can 2-0 it. Not
Oh,
to
yeah?
BM, but a Collective. Yeah, after the loss, they don't want to lose again. I'm pretty sure they don't even want to drop a game.
Oh, you think you angered them?
Oh yeah, we poked the bear and they're pissed right now.
Well,
Yeah,
that'll
word.
be definitely interesting to see. But let's move on and talk about Lemon Citrus. They can eliminate Coin Flip this week and put themselves at 4-4. Is Lemon Citrus on the rise? What do we think?
So I think that, there's a real question of like, is Lemon Citrus actually to be considered a threat to the other to the other teams who are kind of on the bubble, so to speak, kind of between making playoffs or missing it. They've really been on the down low. Like, this is honestly one of the teams that I can't really speak to very much. We did see them on the stream one time, and I believe they were able to take away a victory on that week. I can't remember, but they're against Coin Flip Gaming this week, so certainly it's a winnable matchup for them. I could even definitely see them 2-0ing that potentially.
Sure.
We do know that Coin Flip Gaming is obviously the best in the league as per HuffZone's ranking since they beat PGO, but
True. Number one.
But in comparison to the rest of the league, obviously Coin Flip not necessarily one of the best teams. So I could see Lemon Citrus winning that. And then they're against Lemon Citrus last week, week 9. Sorry, the last week they're against Limitless Future. So I could certainly see them taking down that series as well. It's obviously going to be harder, I think.
That's a hard one.
Limitless Future, we've kind of seen as this wild card team. You don't really know who you're going to get from week to week. But in terms of their threat for the playoff race, I could definitely see Lemon Citrus winning out, whether it's 2-0s or 2-1s, which does put them in a pretty good position to be able to make it. And that's not something that we would have predicted just a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah, no, the matchup between them should be pretty even in my opinion. Like, they could still 2-0, but I think it'll probably go 3 games. Lemon Citrus, I think we played them. Yeah?
Yeah, you did. Yeah.
I don't
You
know.
said you couldn't remember it.
Oh yeah, that was week 4. Dude, the league's been going on a while, and then they got us in another one, so I'm like playing games twice a week. Gotta be
Well,
busy.
There we go. And as we already mentioned, Collective playing versus Goldfish. We already said that we think Collective is going to 2-0 them. But does Goldfish have a chance? Is there anything that we've seen that can give them any hope?
Goldfish likes to bring it to 3 games. I'll give him that. I don't know if it's the coach doing the drafting or what, but I think most of the VODs I've watched of them, they go 3 games. So maybe a banger of a series.
Oh yeah,
there.
you think they're not going to go down without a fight?
Dude, I've seen Goldfish. They've gone swinging. They got fight in them. I'll see it. I can see it for sure.
We can't count them out just yet. Elsa, you got anything to add for that?
I mean, I was going to say, we already touched on it a little bit, but it kind of depends like what Collective Effort wants to bring to this match. So Collective Effort, they are against Arcanus, who dropped from the league in week 9, which means they have an automatic victory. They've already locked the first seed, so they're not playing for anything standings wise. So it's kind of a question for me of whether or not they're going to bring, their A game and try to win this for a momentum win, because we do have to keep in mind they dropped last week to PGO, even though they win week 9. 9 on a forfeit, that's not bringing them any sort of momentum, especially since that's a match they would have won against Arcanus anyways, almost certainly. So for me, it just depends on whether or not is Collective going to come. Are they going to try to do their best and try to win these series, or are they going to have a little fun with it and maybe like throw out some just like bizarre picks because it doesn't really matter? In the second case, I definitely can easily see it going to a 2-1. Probably not Goldfish winning, but I mean, when the other team is fucking around, you never know. But yeah. Anyways,
I wanna see him just smash. Like honestly, I wanna see like week 1, week 2 Collective where it's like Philly B going like 17-4, like smurfing on him mid.
And that's well, go ahead.
Oh, who's the mid for Goldfish right now? Like I've seen Toki play mid, but is it Okami?
Yeah, Okami is
like
normally the mid laner.
Do they like swap it around? Okay.
Yeah, they swapped it last week, I believe, so I'm not sure. But if I was Collective Effort, I agree with Zone. Like, I would definitely want to bring home like a crush win because that's their last. Like, not only will they have that bye in week 9, but they're gonna have a bye in the first round of the playoffs too. Like, that's a really long time to go without playing as a team, and I think that going into it with as much momentum as possible, that's where you want to be.
For sure, yeah.
Yeah, and you never know. Especially I've seen an amateur when you're playing down supposedly in your mind to another player. It can be hard to try. There's this thing that people often mention in amateur level play of like playing down to your opponent, where you have a lot of players struggle to play to their highest level if they know the opponent is making like so many of these types of mistakes or something like along the lines. So we'll have to see if Collective can if Collective's gonna bring their A game, or if they're gonna try and maybe hide some of their draft secrets and just pick what they've normally been picking and try and win through that. But moving on, Lost Chapter and Heart and Soul. What do we think of this matchup coming up?
Ooh, that'll be a damn good series.
It'll be a banger for sure.
Yeah. TA when we played them, they dude, that was a long game. Like game 1, that was like a 48-minute game that they brought us to, and then the mental just wasn't there to keep going in the series. I think if Lost Chapter can like mentally keep going through those like long games, like Lost Chapter can take it, but it's definitely a close one.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I was fortunate enough to be on the cast of that PGO versus Heart and Soul, and like PGO, y'all had such a high gold lead in that first game, but
it was like 8K.
What Heart and Soul did such a good job of was just sticking in the game. Once it got to the point of like, that like 45-minute mark, everyone's basically like already on full items, right? Yeah. So it's like kind of that gold lead just melts away at that point, and it was really impressive for them to be able to stick in there. Lost Chapter, they are our only undefeated team in the league just because they've only had FF losses when they haven't been able to make it for their games. So we have yet to actually see them lose. So it's kind of hard to get a barometer of, whether, who's kind of stronger in this series. I guess if I were to take a guess, just kind of going off momentum, I would still probably pick Lost Chapter just because like Heart and Soul, they did lose to Oblivion last week, we did not expect that. Like, especially coming off the week before, beating PGO, it seemed like they should have had a lot of their own momentum going into that match against Oblivion, but Oblivion really surprised all of us by taking it home. So if you're Heart and Soul, not only is this important for the standings, I think this is really kind of the proving ground, right? Where you're like, we were able to beat, Predictive Gaming Odin, which is considered one of the best teams in the league. Like, can we take on Lost Chapter and hand them their first series loss? So, momentum speaking, I would take Heart and Soul, but I think this is going to be a really good series, so I'm excited to see what happens.
So what's your vote? Mine's 2-1 Chapter. Taking
I would say the same. I would be surprised if Heart and Soul wasn't able to take at least one game, or I guess to put a caveat on that, not that I'm able to, I can't throw out too many predictions, otherwise it's unfair, but if it is a 2-0, I would be surprised if at least one of the games did not go absurdly long, because again, like that's what we saw from Heart and Soul earlier, and it just seems like a skill of the team, so.
Well, I mean, I'm a little biased. I think in week 6, we gave our midseason predictions of who we thought we were going to win it all. And sorry, Zone, but I said TA Heart and Soul.
No hoodie for you, Niall. No hoodie.
And so I'm expecting a good old 2-0 for Heart and Soul. But
2-0
we'll have to
Heart and
see.
Soul?
Yeah, I believe in them.
How
I
much do they
believe in
pay
them.
you to say that?
I could see it happening. I could see it
Dude,
happening.
he's like the least biased person here, like definitely.
2-0
So
Heart and Soul. Woo!
yeah.
That's bold, Niall. That's bold.
Hey, listen, I make bold claims, man.
Yeah, I guess.
Hey, but speaking about bold claims, now you get to speak. Oblivion
Oblivion.
Esports versus PGO.
Okay,
What are
so
you thinking going into
okay,
that?
so Sultan yesterday said something in chat. I don't know if like how many people picked up on it. He said that if they lost tonight, he would leave the server. So, and Flay wants me to make the bet as well, where if we leave or if we win that we lose that I'll leave. I don't know, but that's bold. I didn't even know who the dude was. I'm gonna be honest. Like no flame. Like the only person I looked at because like when the season first started, I was looking at like all the top laners. Like, oh, who do I want to play? And like one NM stuck out. I was like, okay, I want to play this guy. He like actually isn't a Darius one trick unlike the other half the top laners. Like this will be like a fun guy to play, you know. And then he quit right before All Stars, so I couldn't even play him then. So I don't know. Ruffle Turtle apparently was on our sister team. I didn't know that either. I guess I've been living under a rock, but
Yeah, and I guess I wish I should have reached out to the Oblivion Esports coach, but I'm not sure who's actually like starting because I know like Mr. Turk has as well played in the top lane for them. Like we had yeah, we had a sweet highlight clip from him last week. I
the
know.
set
So,
one, yeah, the set one was good.
yeah. So we'll see who they're actually starting. And I mean, like you mentioned Sultan, I know he said in the chat, like he's been very busy and whatnot, you know, with more important things, obviously. So he hasn't been able to show up on the team. We've seen, I think El Matador has been the jungler for most of the time. And so I'm kind of curious to see, like, you know, obviously Sultan, you know, he really believes in himself. He thinks he can do it. And I'm sure he's a great player. What I wonder is how much practice the team actually has with him as the jungler. And obviously we know like the jungler, you know, determines a lot of what happens, especially in the early game. So I want to know like how much synergy does Oblivion actually have going on with their jungle here. So
also to pause real quick, breaking news, Mr. Turk may not even be playing tonight.
Oh, all right. So
What?
So we have no idea.
Yeah,
Hubstone is just going in there just blind, like whoever goes up
dude,
top, like it
bring it
doesn't
on.
matter.
Bring it on. Yeah, bring it on.
Well,
For
there
sure.
we go.
What is
Well,
it? 4-3, winner gets playoff spot, I think.
Yep.
Almost certain a playoff spot, and the loser may need to get another win.
Yeah, like the middle of the table is like so absurdly close that there's like an insane number of like different playoff scenarios, but like more than likely with like, you know, both PGO y'all and Oblivion, both teams that I would expect to make it into the playoffs. I think the more important thing about this matchup is whoever wins is still in strong contention for second place because as we already mentioned, like Lost Chapter, they haven't actually lost a match, but they have FF twice. So they're not actually high above anyone else, any of those middle table teams in the standings. So that's kind of like the bigger thing. And I mean, I guess I'd like to know, like, Zone, what your perspective is on like getting the bye. Like, how big of a boost do you think that is in this league going into the playoffs, or is it?
In my opinion, like the bye is a trap for the most part. Like we see it in LCS like all the time. Like the bye is only as good as what you make out of it. Like if you don't do the prep and like subs get swapped out and all that, the prep goes out the window. Like usually it's a trap more than like playing and keeping momentum with the team. I don't know. Personally, I'd rather take the third place seed, and I don't really care about the bye. Like it's nice to have, but I just want to play games. I'm here to play League.
So what I'm hearing is that you're intentionally gonna lose at least one of your matches since you've already beaten collective effort. So really getting third doesn't even matter that much.
Third is cursed. I think I was talking to Flay and I said whoever gets third at the end of the standings will get eliminated first in playoffs, actually.
Yeah.
Was actually like my bold prediction.
I forgot that also like they get collective effort actually just gets choice of opponents. So
I
suppose given that they've lost to you, I would be very surprised if they chose to go against y'all again right away. But you never know. Maybe they
they grudge match it. You never know.
Yeah.
Dude, bring it back. Run it back.
They can make it personal. Who knows? Who knows?
It's a fun series. Run it back.
Yeah.
So before we start hopping into meta and talking about the newly teased Vex Zone, you got anything that you want to say to any of the teams or anything?
To any of the teams, I gave my power rankings earlier. If they want to see what I think, they can read that. I think my coach even put like a disclaimer like below it. Like he's like, I don't condone what someone's saying here. I'm like, dude, this is just facts. Flay didn't give me power rankings this week. People are asking. I'll deliver. Oh,
Well,
I do think though, who's Limitless playing? Do they have a bye this week?
No.
Limitless. Were they playing like Arcanist? And then
No, maybe you're right.
I think they have like their pseudo bye.
You're totally right. Yep.
Limitless, if you're playing them within the next couple weeks, watch out. That's all I'm gonna say. They were like sandbagging the first start of the league because we played them in Blue Otter and we got creamed by them. Like I'll be honest, I think they 0-2'd us or 2-0'd us.
wow.
Like last
Okay.
week. So they know how to play. I don't know what they were doing. Like the first half, maybe they were like testing the waters, getting the roster together, but they definitely know what they're doing. So
Putting respect on Limitless's name. Okay.
that's my hot take.
Okay.
Up and
Respect.
coming.
Well, now we got it. Part 1 of the Worlds patch. Shaking up the meta. Gonna definitely shake up what we see in CCS as well. Any initial thoughts? Because I know I have my fair share of what's happening in mid lane. Zone, do you have anything to say about top?
Yeah, hold on. Let me pull it up real quick because there's a lot. I think the Mundo changes are for jungle. The GP buffs are like, I don't know, GP's in like a weird spot. I still think the champ's broken if you can play it, but most people can't play it. Jace
agree.
nerfs, I don't think they'll affect CCS a whole lot. Well, there are Gangplank players in CCS, right? There's 2 or 3?
Yeah, we've definitely seen it for sure.
I know that we've banned it. I hate playing against that champ. He's a super safe laner that's like pretty hard to push out a lane. You have to gank him to shut him down. It's just obnoxious. Callista, wait, why does it say buffs? She definitely got nerfed.
Let's see.
Sorry, I'm like looking at the patches like quickly. Because it's a bunch of like small changes. Like the Renekton nerfs kind of hurt. He like loses half a second, but like if you're picking Renekton, you're doing it for the stun follow up for like jungle ganks. So
yeah.
you're still getting the stun, which is like fine. It just makes his 1v1 trading like a little worse. The Singe changes though, I do like. So I'm a Singe player myself.
Oh,
Personally.
there it is. There
Yeah,
we go.
I've been playing Singe since like I started like season 2. Like he's one of my most played. The Grievous on Q is like actually a big deal. That's 800 gold right there.
Yeah, I said that exactly right before we started the analyst desk. I was saying, Singed players, you don't pick up Singed. You either are a Singed player or you don't play Singed.
Yeah, there's
for all those Singed players out there, 800 gold. That's gonna feel pretty nice.
It's good because normally people like in the meta that we're in right now will just heal through your poison. Like Camille, for instance, like the lane you just outscale him with Sunder, right? Because you just heal through it. But with Grievous now, I think Singed can actually beat Camille.
Yeah,
and then
I
Soraka
can see Singed
like
being an absolute menace for those who play him.
So the Soraka. So I also play Soraka top. It's like a meme that I play. People don't believe me on that one. My coaches won't let me play it, but I do play it. I'm putting that out there.
Yeah,
but
the Soraka with the Grievous
she
removal.
removes Grievous. Yeah.
Now there's a reason to pick Soraka over other enchanters. For sure.
Ban my Shen, I'm gonna pick some Soraka. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah. No, go ahead.
And the other big one was the Urgot buffs. I know that there are some big Urgot players. I didn't think they were that big of a deal. Like Urgot's still kind of meh right now. Like his mythic choices are pretty bad in my opinion. Like
yeah,
he doesn't really
itemization's
have
a bit weird.
Yeah. So like reducing the Q is just you're not maxing it anyways. You're only leaving it at 1 point. So the 2 seconds reduced is nice because it's a 1 point wonder because you're going for the W max. But I don't know if that brings him back. I don't think his matchups right now are that good either.
I could definitely see Urgot becoming a lot stronger with that because it's one of those abilities that you can use off cooldown. So those extra 2 seconds off of Q
2
every
seconds.
single time will you'll definitely be able to feel it. But
I do have one more.
Go for it.
Yeah, no, my bad. So my personal baby Camille's getting nerfed too. They're adding 4 seconds extra to her passive early. That sucks.
That is a big change.
That sucks. That's you used to be able to do trades. You could do what? Your passive trade every wave every wave as it's like coming in. I don't think you can do it like quite every wave anymore. Like window to trade is like you don't have as many early trade opportunities.
Yeah.
It hurts.
I mean, it feels like Camille's been so strong for so long.
Yeah.
I think it's pretty justified.
Yeah, I'm not even mad. It's like fine. I don't think it'll break the champ. The champ's still gonna be like good. Her Q's and hook shots obscene, but it
Yeah.
hurts.
Like for me, just like, I don't have nearly as many thoughts on the patch as you all, hot, great players or whatever. But like I wanted like the Camille, she was bound for a nerf. Like I think especially like when watching organized team play, whether it be in this level, like Zone, you were able to pull out that last win against Collective Effort with Camille, or if or even in professional play. I think the issue with me for Camille is she has that like super strong scaling split push ability, but then on top of that she can also group and like pick people off and like combine with some of these other champions that are like Jarvan, Galio, like whatever, like these kind of champions where you can get these stacking the abilities. I think that was just like a little bit too strong for me. I feel like for the most part, Riot has forced top laners to choose between like this split push kind of identity versus this team fight identity, and she kind of broke the meta in that regard. And certainly not every matchup is a winning matchup for her, but I will say that there weren't that many matchups for her that were like just straight up terrible or unplayable. I know in professional play we even just started to see top laners just blind picking it, and that's the point for me at which it's a little too strong. I love watching the champion, super fun to watch, but yeah, I think it was bound for a nerf.
What do they say? Jack of all trades, master of none, and that's what Camille should have been. But in my opinion, she's like one of the only viable split pushers right now for the meta, just because it's so group reliant right now.
Yeah, for
Jax
sure.
is the other one I think is pretty good right now that just people aren't playing.
I mean, Camille always been a menace, and I'm a big fan of AD itemization's really strong right now, and it seems like in solo queue especially, you can just blind pick full AD comps, and even if the opponents have tanks, it doesn't seem to matter. And I'm a big fan of Camille getting nerfed because obviously AD champion with true damage, I'm not a big fan. So I'm personally very happy with the Camille nerfs, especially because Camille with her ultimate counters every mid laner in the game. So yeah, that's just my 2 cents. But
Fair.
in terms of mid lane,
What's your
we
thoughts
got
on the
some
Fizz?
spicy changes. Fizz pick ban. Everyone. This champ is going to be so broken. Okay, I ran the math with some of my friends and some Fizz mains. Yes, you do lose probably like 130 damage on your ultimate mid game for your all-ins. But in exchange, your E is on like 5 seconds.
They reverted the E changes.
Oh, they did? Okay, good.
Yeah. That's what I was
be.
gonna ask. Yeah, the 2-second E changes, they reverted those. Thank
Okay.
God. By the way, thank God. Yeah.
We're saved. We're safe. Because that thing was about to be the most broken champion in the game, no doubt. If you guys
thoughts
are...
on
yeah, go ahead.
thoughts on Bruiser Fizz coming back,
Yeah,
though?
yeah, that's what I was gonna say. I'm pretty sure I will not be surprised if we see Conqueror Fizz. Like, I can see Bruiser Fizz coming out on top.
Sunday Fizz, for sure.
Yeah.
I might start picking it up. We'll see.
Honestly, like, I don't remember if we've seen Fizz in top lane before. But
yeah, it was the Smite TP meta where people were going like Fizz top, Heck top. You would go the refillable, or no, not refill, crystalline flask. That's what it was, and you go skirmisher saber for the red.
I mean, yeah, depending on how strong Fizz gets, we could see Fizz as a top mid flex, and that just is gonna be absolutely terrifying. But Kiana, oh boy, mid jungle flex. That champion, they gave her 60 damage on her level 6 all in, and I think 90 damage on her level 9 all in. And let me tell you, as a mage player, I would buy cloth armor every single time going against Kiana, and I knew if I was below 80%, I would die. Now it is 100%, and that
is what's the change? I think
they're basically adding. They're adding. Oh, I think they changed it. They used
they reverted it.
Yep, they reverted it. Well, thank God, we're safe. Okay. Again,
she can jungle though. She can jungle now.
Adding her as a mid jungle flex, they're just trying to push assassins into the jungle, for the sake of. They really want to see assassins in pro play, which I have no problem with. It's just they're like, okay, it doesn't work mid, shove them in the jungle. And that leads me to saying, Zed, adding damage to jungler, damage to jungle monsters. He has the fastest jungle clear in the game on PvE right now.
Does he really?
308 with smite available, full clear.
Okay, my thing is with the damage, the champs that they're trying to push into the jungle by giving them damage dealt to monsters. All it does is it makes the laners that can get priority, they can counter jungle a lot
Right.
easier. Like
Right.
Kiana has like the AOE, so she can just pop over raptor walls, take the camp, pop right back over to mid.
Right. And
Yeah.
that's why when we see these jungle buffs, inevitably it does bring the mid lane win rate up a little bit.
Yeah.
But it'll be interesting. I don't think people. I mean, it's like, at what point is 308 with smite available just too fast? Like, do you think people will just start picking Zed just because of how ridiculously fast his clear is? Like, he's not the best jungler. He doesn't have the best setup. But like, when you could clear that fast, can you really afford not picking him?
What's
I
like
don't know.
compare it to something what's meta right now, like a standard time. I don't play a ton of jungle.
I think it's around like,
It's like 310 with smite, right?
yeah,
For the
310 with
fast
smite,
ones?
315, something like that.
Okay.
But like 308 with smite available, that's just like, you just going to level 4, being early to crab, level 4 with smite.
With smite, yeah.
You win. You just win. And especially because you're Zed. If you land your WEQ combo,
You're killing someone.
you have so much burst that I think Zed is gonna be I don't know. I bet pros are gonna be really, really hesitant to pick him, but I will not be surprised if I see Zed like insta locked in my solo queue games every time, and then they
For
just mid triple
sure.
flex it. That'll be a
Yeah.
headache for sure.
I think
I-
that like when it comes to a solo queue play, I can definitely see the Zed being picked up more. But I think, like you were saying, when it comes to pro, I think the lack of CC coming from the jungle definitely hurts team compositions in a way that I think that a lot of pro teams will be really hesitant to pick. So that's just my 2 cents
Yeah,
on it.
yeah, for sure.
What about the
Um,
Yone?
yeah, Yon. Here's the thing. Like, he's not in a bad spot right now. He's not in the greatest spot either. I mean, it's per extra champion hit, so it doesn't affect his laning phase at all, I believe, right?
2v2. 2v2 in early
Yeah,
skirmish.
it's 2v2, and he's already really weak in 2v2s. At least in higher levels of play, he's super telegraphed. You could see his Q3 coming, and he's been in a really rough spot because he can't get priority versus a lot of champions. And then you fight in the crab, and like you're Yone and you don't have priority, or you're getting frozen on and you get ganked. It's really tough to play Yone. So I mean, this is a nice buff. I mean, Yone players will like it, but it's not going to give him what he needs to be like super relevant. Um, that's just from my experience, though. Is what I believe. Now, personally, I am a master Zoe one trick at the moment. Zoe
Oh,
getting 4 seconds off her E level 1.
bet you're
This is
you throwing a party?
this is fucking broke. Oh, excuse my language. Broken. Absolutely broken.
Dude, I
It,
thought this champ was gone.
this.
I've honestly been happy that I haven't seen this champ in my games.
Now, let
Like
me tell you, there are like 3 Zoe players in low master, and I'm one of them. You never see this champion unless because I queue into a lot of the same people now, and you never see this champion unless it's like me or like 2 other guys playing it, and it's really funny. And this champion is actually really good. Not a lot of people play it.
I think she's fine. I thought she was fine right now. Like
Yeah,
not like
she's definitely in like a
insane.
very balanced spot, I'd say. She's very strong, but she has obvious weaknesses. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know how many people play against Zoe, but a lot of them didn't actually know that her E was on a 20-second cooldown. And that was like, I mean, Zoe's frustrating to play against when you get hit by bubble, but if you miss your bubble as Zoe, you're screwed in lane for the next 20 seconds. So she's been pretty balanced, but taking 4 seconds off early and 2 seconds off late is just it's going to be game breaking for Zoe. I don't know how many people are going to pick her up because she's a very unique champion and a lot of people are hesitant to pick her up. But basically what this means is in lane, she's just an absolute terror. She can start throwing E with like very little remorse starting at level 8 or so when she has a bit of cooldown reduction and this E time taken off her E. And then in the late game, I mean, everybody knows you land bubble from Zoe at long range and you like win the game, late game, right?
Oh.
You're fighting around dragon, you land one crucial bubble on the mid lane or the ADC and it's
Like
just
some-
over.
Yeah.
And this is just how I explained it to some of my friends was if you group 40 seconds before a dragon, Zoe's on like a timer. She has to hit a bubble or she loses the team fight because she can't 5v5. So this gives her 2 more bubbles. It used to be 4, now you could shoot 6. And that is insane. Giving extra chances
I'm with
to Zoe.
Elsa. I'm with Elsa on
Like,
this one. Get that champ out of here, dude.
it's honestly disgusting, and I'm very sad that she's gonna get completely kneecapped after Worlds. She's gonna be blown out of relevancy for sure. There's no way this sticks around, but we'll just have to see.
Yeah,
More
I mean,
li-
if you talk about like pro players, whether or not they will or will not pick up champions, off this patch. Like Zoe is one that we've already seen so heavily in the pro meta before, and so there's no doubt like these players are just going to easily pick it up again. I expect to see it, be one of those kind of picked or banned champions in the mid lane, because also it doesn't, there's not any like really super hard counter picks to it. I feel especially now that it has, this strength, with the cooldown reduction on the bubble and everything. It's
And
gonna be
especially none
obnoxious.
that are played. Like, I mean, the hard matchups for Zoe, Yone, because you can cancel out the bubble, Malzahar, Anivia. We don't really see these champions, especially in pro play, so
Yeah.
I can expect Zoe to be a menace. And maybe we'll see the pocket picks. Maybe we'll start seeing Anivia played. Maybe we'll start seeing Malzahar. We'll just have to wait and see. But yeah, mid lane meta is gonna be spicy, and also solo queue. Just be ready for the Kiana and Zed jungles to start terrorizing your games. Just strap in, everybody. Be ready. But yeah, just to wrap it up here. Any final thoughts on the meta?
I think there's some other interesting jungle changes. So like I know that Lilia's gotten changed like the last patch, and I think she's getting buffed again. She's getting more move speed, ease.
Just a bit of an adjustment, giving her a little bit less health, but she heals a bit more off monsters, and her passive lasts a little bit longer. So generally nice buffs overall. She loses a bit of health, but more ability usage overall.
The one that, okay, so weak side ADC, our ADC, he's like he used to one trick Twitch for a while in solo queue, right? So he
Right.
saw the 10 damage on ult and was freaking out, and I can agree with him. The longsword at all ranks on Twitch, especially early, is like, we might be seeing some Twitch at Worlds, and honestly, I would be totally okay with that.
I'm
I
down
like
for
watching
that.
Twitch. I like watching Twitch.
Twitch is definitely, it's fun to watch, not fun to play against, in my opinion.
He was hiding the whole time.
Yeah, we may see his little rat head pop out of the sewers for Worlds. That'll be definitely interesting. And also his AP variant, still a little viable, so they
1080
always leave
doesn't
that
hurt.
option open. But yeah, some spicy picks coming up. We're gonna have to cut the desk a little short here, running a little low on time, so we didn't end up to get to talk about Vex, so we'll just have to save that for next week. So thank you, Zone, for hopping on. You got any
Yeah.
final thoughts overall?
PG 2-1, PGO tonight 2-1. I won't say 2-0, but I'll say 2-1.
Okay.
I just want to play some League tonight. I'm gonna be honest. I
we
might
go.
sandbag one. I just want to play some more games.
Well, I'm excited to see that match coming up. Elsa, you got any final thoughts as well on the matchups or anything about CCS?
I mean, I'm really surprised that Zone said 2-1. I was actually gonna like go with the slightly bolder prediction of 2-0. I think that like PGO is really riding high, and I am watching for them to get me an earlier bedtime tonight. So we'll see. Obviously, it would be more fun to see 3 games, but I wouldn't be surprised if it was kind of, if Oblivion winning last week was,
Fluke?
kind of an abnormality. What's that?
Say it again, Elsa. It's a fluke.
Yeah, well, yeah, I said abnormality. I didn't say fluke, but maybe it was a bit of a fluke. We'll see. I guess like this is going to be the matchup that kind of shows us whether or not it was a fluke or not. So, Oblivion was something to prove, PGO kind of riding high. So I was going to say 2-0 PGO, and I wanted to say thanks for watching. I also wanted to remind everybody watching that we do have that subscription button now. So if you want to support the sweet people of
any
the
Twitch
CCS,
primers in chat?
I already got mine in. You already
Okay,
know I
there
already
we
got
go.
mine in.
There we
I'm
go.
one, so yeah.
I got
anyway,
mine
so
in.
hit the sub button.
Well, that'll be the end of the desk. Zone, just remember when you're playing tonight, if you're thinking about sandbagging, just think about the bedtimes of the production crew.
Yeah, he has to get in bed early. All right, I'll keep that in mind.
But yeah, thank you guys for watching the desk as always, and don't go anywhere. We got a match coming right up on CCS. See you guys.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Classic Championship Series. We're here. We got some Week 8 action for you guys as Oblivion Esports takes on Predictive Gaming Odin. My name is Rajchains. I'm joined by Elsa the Queen. How's it going today?
Going great. I'm really excited to be here, Chains. I think this is going to be a really good, even matchup, and I'm excited to watch it. Looks like we're hopping into the draft right now.
Yep, already into Champion Select here. We're going to see some bands come out from each of these teams here. And first one looking like a mid laner band's coming out. It's going to be the Zillion, and then Yon on the other side for Predictive.
Yeah, so these are some target bans already coming out from both sides. Actually, PGO loves to put that Zillion into the support role. That's the main, I believe, kind of the main champion for Odd Mitch. Definitely one of the stronger mechanical players on the side of PGO. So just taking that one away from him, from Oblivion, and then Swagger, the mid laner for Oblivion. He loves to play those melee champions, especially melee ADs. So taking away the Yone from him, it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, absolutely. And then we're going to see some more coming out. Nocturne for Oblivion, Mordekaiser for Predictive, and the last bans for both of these teams coming in the near future. And we'll be getting into these picks pretty shortly here. Anything you're looking forward to seeing specifically as we get into this these first couple picks?
Well, if you follow the CCS really closely, you know that there's been a ton of trash talk going on between the top laners of these two teams, Huffzone, who is kind enough to just be on the desk, and then Mr. Turk for Oblivion Esports. You know, we'll see if they're able to mouth is. I know that for the side of Oblivion, there was a promise that Mr. Turk would leave the server if he did lose this matchup. So we'll have to see, you know, is he able to stay on the server or not? But last couple bans, Blitzcrank and Shen being banned out, again, really targeted. It shows that these teams have done their homework coming in. We'll see what Oblivion wants to take first. Looks like it's going to be the Jarvan.
Yeah, absolutely. Jarvan is, I think, a really solid pick in the jungle. You have a lot of CC with the flag and drag. You can get into lanes, a lot of early ganking. And I think that's a really, really good, key portion of the meta right now. So I'm excited to see what El Matador can do on this pick.
Yeah, absolutely. And like on top of that, Jarvan is just a really safe kind of blind pick jungler, and with the Amumu potentially answering it, as well as the Tristana, like we know that Amumu has gotten lots of bans. We did see it last week on the stream. I know you were here, right, Chains, when we saw it. I believe it was Snow Life playing it in the support role, so potentially a flex pick, but it has just gotten a lot of overall strength. And then again, the Tristana for PGO, just a really safe blind AD carry, doesn't really have any super harsh counter matchups. So I like to see that rotation with the kind of the flex pick Amumu and then the Tristana coming out.
I think Amumu is absolutely broken with the new Q changes. Being able to hold 2 Qs is crazy.
Yeah, and they're gonna pick Camille here. Yeah, sorry.
Nah, no problem.
Like, I was watching Huffzone, he streamed the PGO games against Collective, and I got a chance to watch that. Collective rather did the exact same thing in the third game where they, third pick this set, which, could potentially be a support flex as well, but with the Thresh already coming out, we pretty much know it's going to go into the top lane. And then, Huffzone, he was just like yelling when that happened. He was like, oh, pick me the Camille. It's one of his best champions. And on top of that, it is able to counter the set. So I think they're really happy to be able to pick up that Camille and then be able to save that pick, the counter pick for the mid lane.
Yeah, counter pick mid is pretty solid here. It makes it easy when the enemy already picks top lane, so you can just counter pick top lane and then ban out mid laners. So it makes it pretty easy actually for Predictive to run through this draft here. We're gonna see just to rerun it. We got Thresh and Set locked in for Oblivion, and then Camille is gonna be the last pick of the first set of picks for Predictive. Bands coming out here, Silas and Ziggs for Predictive. And was that Anivia was the ban for Oblivion, but they missed it looked like. And then Leona Hover for the time being. We'll see if that actually goes through. I think it's kind of bad to actually ban Leona here. Yeah, okay. So it's going to be the Galio.
Yeah, and Galio again, another one of those flexes. But either way, it just pairs up so well with Camille. Being able to have the heroic entrance and then the Hextech ultimatum on top of each other. So they just, Oblivion, smart move there. In my opinion, they just really don't want to deal with that Galio and Camille combination, which can just be so oppressive, kind of going into those team fights. And it looks like PGO, as we predicted, they'll save their blind pick for the mid lane.
Yeah, Braum is going to be the support pick for Predictive here. I don't know about this, how I feel. Braum Tristana seems okay, but I mean, I guess you have the synergies with, the Braum passive and then Tristana bomb. I guess Halo Blades could help out if Tristana opts to go that over press the attack. I would expect Halo Blades, but you never know what happens in these games. Kaisa is going to be the AD carry choice for Oblivion. So the Kaisa Tristana matchup is actually pretty interesting because early Tristana will have the advantage. She can pretty much just one-shot Kaisa if she gets, the full bomb charge off and the jump as well. But as you move later on into the game, Kaisa will start to gain the advantage just because of the assassination potential.
Yeah, and it's a really interesting matchup. And now, like, the Diana to round it out for Oblivion Esports, I already said how Swagger, he likes those melee type champions, and he does get one here in the Diana. We've seen a lot of mid Diana in the CCS. It's proven to be a really strong pick, and I would tend to agree with you, Rychains. I'm not the biggest fan of the Braum pick in terms of its synergy in the lane. I think that, especially as you mentioned, with the scaling, definitely favors the Kaisa Thresh. But Annie here for Whole Grain Man, the mid laner for PGO, that's definitely one of his main champions. He played it against Collective to great success. Definitely provides some safety against the Diana. So I like this. I like this last pickup for PGO.
Yeah. Annie, you don't see it too much in competitive, but it is a tried and true. It's very, very linear, very straightforward. You know what you're going to get when you pick it and you play against it. But even when Annie's really far behind, you can still one-shot you. So definitely an interesting pick here. I'm excited to see what Holgrenman can do on this pick. We're going to get into the client pick ban in a few short moments. But until then, I do want to mention Predictive Gaming Odin right now is coming off of a big victory over Collective, who is the number one team right now in the CCS. You guys can see the drafts coming through here. And don't forget, throw your votes in the chat. You can see that bot's going out already. Put those classic coins to the test. You got to risk money to make money. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. How do you feel about these team comps overall? What is the vibe you're getting?
Well, we both kind of didn't like the Braum pick as much when it came out, but I actually think that as Oblivion finishes out their comp with that Diana, I begin to like the Braum a little bit more. It definitely provides more disengage, and that's definitely super crucial against the Diana, as well as the Jarvan, actually, when I think about it more. So having that fissure is going to be huge in terms of opening up space for Tristana to be able to kite back a little bit and stay alive. Meanwhile, Camille, Amumu, they're going to be able to just jump onto that backline and try to take down the Kaisa. So for me, it's really going to be all about Reels, the AD carry from Oblivion, being able to stay safe for himself. Will he be able to, use his ultimate to jump away from the engage from Predictive Gaming Odin? Because if not, I mean, even the Annie as well, there's going to be a lot of potential to just one-shot this Kaisa off the map. And then with the Diana kind of being this, one big burst with her ultimate sort of damage, I would worry whether or not Oblivion has enough in the tank to kind of finish it out, again, if Kaisa is not able to survive.
Yeah, I mean, you talked about this already, just the hype and the banter and the trash talk between this top lane matchup. It'll be really, really interesting to see who comes out on top here. This top lane matchup is super, super snowball heavy. So whoever gets that early advantage is going to be able to just run over the lane. And Set is a champion who his W can one-shot you even if you don't get hit by the middle of it. So I think the champ is broken.
Yeah, I touched on already how I know that Huff Zone in particular, the top laner for PGO, does favor this towards Camille. But as you pointed out, especially with these two junglers who are such heavy ganking junglers, the Amumu and the Jarvan, they're both meant to gank early and often. They both have these extra impactful ultimate abilities. And because of that, it does mean that if Camille does get behind, it will be very difficult for her to come back in the lane and vice versa. So I look for a lot of jungle attention to go up towards this top lane for both teams, El Matador and then Charizard. I expect to see them in the top lane.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, when these guys talk as much as they have been, you're gonna expect some jungle proximity up there, just because, who's gonna get the better of the lane. I'm sure Mr. Turk doesn't want to leave the Discord server. I mean, I wouldn't if I was him, but only time will tell, as we have concluded our 5 picks for this first game. We're going to be getting into the spectator delay shortly, but which comp are you liking better?
I do have to give the slight edge out to PGO. I think that they have a little bit more disengage going into the team fights between the Braum and the Tristana. I think they have a little bit more flexibility in their draft to be able to not only have the hard engage, but also being able to actually kite back. They can use the Amumu and the Annie to do that as well. So I do like PGO's draft a little bit more, but definitely no shade on Oblivion's draft too. They have a very, snowballing draft. I didn't even talk about the Jarvan Diana synergy, which does allow you to trap a lot of people in that Cataclysm, get the maximum utility and damage out of the Moonfall. So if they are able to pull some of those combinations off and they're able to take out 1 to 2 members of PGO right away, then it becomes, then it's going to be difficult. So pretty even. I like PGO a little bit, but both teams, they've got a lot on the line. They've got a lot to play for, and I'm just excited to get into the game after this little delay.
Absolutely here. Both of these compositions looking good, looking explosive. And we are going to take a short break as we get through this spectator delay, but we'll be back in a few short minutes for game 1 between Predictive Gaming Odin and Oblivion Esports. So don't go anywhere because we'll be right back. Right. And we are on to the rift for game number 1 between Predictive Gaming Odin and Oblivion Esports. For Oblivion, Mr. Turk on set in the top lane, El Matador on Jarvan in the jungle, Swagger on Diana in the mid lane, and Reels and Ginshu on Kaisa Thresh rounding out the bottom lane.
And for Predictive Gaming Odin in the top lane, we got Huff Zone on the Camille, Charizard in the jungle, playing the Amumu, Whole Grain Man, rocking the Annie in the mid lane, and then weak side ADC on the Tristana, paired up by the Braum from Odd Mitch, and we're going to see an invade here.
A little 5-man top invade is what we like to see. A bit aggressive, but, you know, with all the talk coming around this this matchup, it's kind of what we expect. Fortunately, just going to get a ward down, get some early vision around the blue buff for El Matador. And nothing else. No kills, no summoner spells, nothing like that. But I do want to mention this is a 4 versus 5 matchup right now. Both of these teams are sitting at 4 and 3. And a win this week would be huge for playoff standings, potentially, you know, bumping teams up to 2nd seed in the playoffs. So a lot is at stake here in this series. And so that's why I'm so excited to get this one going.
Yeah, I mean, I'm glad you mentioned it because Lost Chapter, they've lost 2 games through FF. They currently sit at the 2nd seed, but both of these teams do have a chance to threaten for that 2nd seed as well. So this is going to be a huge matchup to kind of determine who's able to do that. And we know that with the 2nd seed comes a first-round bye in the playoffs, and that could be what separates these teams between being able to make it to the finals and potentially a championship here in the first season of the CCS or not. So, you know, both teams, there's a lot on the line here.
Yeah, absolutely. Both of these junglers starting on their respective red buffs, which is kind of interesting to me. I would have expected Charizard, you know, to start on blue just so they could get up to top lane at level 3. But nonetheless, they're going to see, you know, Jarvan potential in that top side for Mr. Turk in, you know, the next couple minutes.
Yeah, and luckily for PGO, because they had that ward down at the blue of the Jarvan, Huffzone should have the intelligence here to know that he's going to be at threat of a gank early. And then, you know, with Charizard going towards the bottom side, we'll see if he just opts for the full clear here, and then going back or not after taking the Scuttle Crab. But, you know, I will say, obviously that Braum passive early on, super, super powerful for the lockdown, but with weak side ADC and Odd Mitch pushing in early, I don't really see any gank happening from Mumu here at the level 3 mark.
Yeah, big damage coming out in that top lane trade here. Both of these top laners, you know, sitting dangerously under half HP. And, you know, for Bowstone, has to kind of be careful. Your jungler is not even close, but look at all the sustain that comes through from, you know, that W proc, from the grass, from the health potion, and then the Omni Vamp you get from the B-Blade. So Camille's sitting pretty right now. Big wave pushing in, so it's going to take some time, but Mr. Turk is going to look for a hook shot. Has to be used to safety by Huffzone. For the time being, both of these junglers on their respective crabs. Charizard looking for an invade, trying to find anything, but it looks like nothing is there to find besides those Krugs, but you know, you're not going to go down there if you're the Mumu. Now we're going to see 2v2 in the mid lane potentially as both of these junglers make their way to the center of the map. Yeah. But no action yet.
Yeah, and just a really nice ward there on the bush towards this top side for Whole Grain Man. You know, we saw El Matador, he went into that, close to that brush multiple times. He was really wanting to look for that gank. But again, just smart early warding into the jungle of the Jarvan, knowing which side he is on, which allows Whole Grain Man to intelligently cover himself in the mid lane. And, you know, he's able to come out alive definitely before Annie gets that level 6. She's a little bit weaker. Also has the ability, though, with the range to poke out the Diana, so both these mid laners having kind of a very different style in the early game, but here we're going to see a big wave crashing into the Annie, so it will be a bit of a CS lead for Whole Grain Man early on.
Yeah, you see a big wave coming in, like you said, going to be able to take a CS lead. It's just going to depend on how well Whole Grain Man gets CS under the tower. We'll see, we'll check back in, you know, about 30 seconds to see how many of those minions were actually picked up here. But while we do have a little break in the action, make sure you guys let us know in the chat who you guys got for this game. You got Predictive Gaming Odin or Oblivion Esports. It's going to be a good one. Right now, as we just passed 5 minutes in, the gold lead is about 400 in favor of PGO.
Yeah, just some good early farming from the members of PGO. I know Huffzone on the desk, he really talked a lot about how he feels like that a lot of the strength from his team comes from these solo lanes. And we do see both these solo laners coming out with a, early CS lead. A little bit of a one in the bottom lane too. Will be pretty even once Reels picks up these minions. But you already talked about how Tristana does have a little bit of an advantage over this Kai'Sa early on. So just smartly playing it safe by Reels and Genshu.
Yeah, I kind of want to just see, the PGO bot lane just kind of go in. Just skill check, see, what the bot lane of Oblivion does in response to an engage. Both of these supports taking the exhaust. So, a little less kill pressure rather than taking ignite. But either way, there still can be some explosive plays in this bottom side.
And certainly the exhaust, is a really strong summon of these AV carries. Specifically, the Tristana comes to mind, and that's kind of the problem. Matador going up there, but not going to make anything happen. We'll see if they try to go for something.
No, I just shoved the wave in top, let Mr. Turk get it back here, and with the Oblivion Esports jungler spotted on top side, you can already see 4 members of Predictive onto this early Ocean Dragon, and this is going to feel really, really good for their composition. Reels and Genshu may be looking for something. They have to be careful, as Holgrimman does have the stun and Tibbers available. But either way, yeah, first dragon of the game is the Ocean, and it will be going over to.
Yeah, and gotta hand it really good way to play the map there from PGO, recognizing that Matador is in the top lane, but they can't make anything happen because Huffzone is just playing too safe, not able to, go for that dive if you are Oblivion. So smart by Charizard to just go straight to the dragon, take that one out. Next one coming up will be an Infernal, so we'll have to see will be a Cloud or a Mountain Soul in this game.
Absolutely. As we approach 7 minutes and 30 seconds into this game, still no kills on the board for either team. The gold lead is about 500 in favor of Predictive Gaming Odin. And, I am expecting some sort of explosive plays coming through. Level 6s are on the way for this bottom lane, and you can already see both junglers hitting level 6. The solo laners are level 7. And it's just kind of a waiting game to see when these teams actually decide to pull the trigger.
Yeah, and gotta say, we are used to in the CCS, and especially at this level of play, seeing a lot of early aggression from teams. And I actually like how both of these teams are being very measured. They don't want to be the first one to kind of make a mistake and give momentum over to the other side. So, definitely a little bit slower of an early game. But I think that it's sometimes actually more difficult at this level of play to be measured in your aggression and hold off unless you absolutely know where your opponent is.
Oh, but check this out here. A lot of members coming into this topside. Hextech Ultimatum is going to be popped onto Mr. Turk as the support and jungler are here. Showstopper going to come down onto set. Now Genshu could be in trouble in the middle. Flag and Drag's going to knock up onto one as Charizard now is in danger. Will go down as a Cataclysm comes through. First blood goes over to El Matador. Now Odin could be in trouble. Has to burn the flash to get away, but Genshu with the flash double flay hook while he's dying with his dying breath lands the hook, and El Matador is searching for the kills. Flag and Drag gonna secure the last hits onto Puffzone, and there you go, a 3-for-2 in favor of Predictive Gaming, of Oblivion Esports. And there we go, that was the explosion we needed. Now Holgrimman could be in trouble as the flash over the wall comes through from Swagger, and it's only a matter of time before Holgrimman will fall. Another kill goes over to Oblivion Esports.
Oblivion just wins out huge on that. I mean, just some really great mechanical ability shown by Oblivion in that skirmish. And honestly, it looked like a little bit of a lack of communication coming from PGO. So Huffzone used everything that he had right away, and then he was just too low to follow up on Charizard, who did land an Amumu ultimate on quite a few members, but ultimately just didn't have enough damage. So once PGO doesn't have enough damage to finish out the skirmish and take down at least one member right away, after that, they're on the back end the entire time. And Genshu, we've seen him on these hook champions on the stream in the past, just so good on this Thresh. That flash play forward was just absolutely picturesque. And we got to hand it to the Thresh, participated in 3 out of those 4 kills. And then also just some smart play of Matador to be sitting in that Krug area and just waiting for whole Grain Man and catching him out with great communication with Swagger.
Absolutely. And after that play here, you can see the gold lead has shifted and is now 600 in favor of Oblivion Esports. You can see now with the Dragon coming in about 1 minute and 15 seconds. A lot of these members from PGO are already making their way into that bottom side river to try to gain some vision control. Teleport is available for Mr. Turk, but not Puffstone yet. So teleport advantage for the time being is in favor of Oblivion. Hookshot is not going to land, and now they're going to scrap in this top side, trading punches and scissor kicks back and forth. But for the time being, Mr. Turk will have the wave pushed into the tower.
Yeah, and it looks like Oblivion are going to be able to go ahead and grab themselves the Rift Herald. So, might end up trading it for the Dragon, but with 44 seconds still remaining, there might still be enough time for Oblivion to make their way down there, in addition to getting the Rift Herald. Either way, just not really valuing the Dragons early on, but looks like Charizard might look here.
Bandage toss is going to land, but a nice play will, buy some space. And get Charizard away here, but 20 seconds onto this Dragon, and it looks like Predictive Gaming Odin is first to the play. You can see El Matador's on the other side of the map farming Raptors, and maybe looking for a mid lane play here onto Swagger, but I think Swagger knows, and he's gonna walk up that top side jungle anyway, and maybe potentially look for this top dive onto Huffstone.
Yeah, and
yes,
there are gonna look for the dive.
The hook shot. This should be a dead Puffstone here. There's no flashes available. Cataclysm and the Moonfall Hextech Ultimatum to buy some time for the inevitable, but it doesn't matter because Swagger will secure the kill. On the other side of the map, though, PGO picking up the Dragon. Bandage Toss going to land onto Reels with the Lantern used to safety by the AD carry for Oblivion Esports. And the Herald will be spawned in that top side to crack open the first tower of the game. This is going to be a lot of gold in the pockets of Oblivion and their solo laners and El Matador. So now you can see the gold lead up to 3,000 off of that play from 600 that it was before. Now maybe some fighting going on in this bottom side here. The death sentence to go wide right. What Reels is looking for Glacial Fissure as well as knockups, exhaust rather, onto both AD carries. Heal's going to be burned from Predictive for the time being, and Reels is still looking for it. Going to get stunned up. Rocket jump onto Reels' head. And the AD carries are going to trade kills, and now the teleport's coming in from Mr. Turk. That sentence goes wide right again. Kind of a unfortunate, TP there by Mr. Turk is going to leave the teleport advantage in favor of Predictive for the time being.
Yeah, not the best teleport, but overall, Mr. Turk just winning out so much on this sequence of events. They get the first tower in the top side, and then on top of that, you can see that the inner turret on the top side, the Rift Herald got another charge onto that too. It's sitting so low, and these inner turrets are actually the largest, the most valuable turrets in terms of gold. So if Huffstone ever does leave that lane, it's going to be just an opportunity for another huge infusion of gold, either for Mr. Turk or for what other member they want to put in that top side. So that's just going to be really big for them. And as we see the trading here in the mid lane, it's so important for Diana to have gotten these 2 kills early. Diana, definitely a huge feast or famine champion, especially in the mid lane, and Swagger is feasted in this one. He's got 2 kills. He's already got the Night Harvester finished. With that one item, they do have such a big threat of the AoE damage coming out into the team fights between the Jarvan and the Diana.
Yeah, I mean, Swagger and El Matador are going to be huge when it comes to the actual team fighting for these teams. And, let's not forget, Mr. Turk with the Showstopper is going to be able to do a lot of damage to the back lines, if the positioning is correct. So a lot of team fight threats and a lot of AoE damage coming out of this Oblivion roster. And, when they're getting ahead early, this is not a good sign for
No, it isn't. And even in the draft, I had said that I did favor the PGO team comp, but also that if this Oblivion team comp is able to get an advantage, it starts to get a lot trickier. But Huffstone, he's still doing his best.
Oh, El Matador using the flash to get away from that curse of the sad mummy. But now the bot lane is here. Flag and Giant gonna find the knockups onto 2, and Weakside ADC could be in trouble here, but the Cataclysm gonna go onto Odd Mage. Weakside ADC is jumping into the Cataclysm, but it doesn't matter because you're gonna find the shutdown onto El Matador. Now Swagger is in danger, taking really low as the shutdown's gonna go over to Charizard as well as Holy Man flashing forward. The Death Sentence is gonna find Tibbers, but a double kill going over to Weakside ADC, and now Mr. Turk could be in danger of a solo kill. Using that flash to try to get away. Hookshot is gonna land, get the stuns forward, and one more auto should do it. Puffstone with the solo kill and a full team ace for Predictive. They turned it around.
And that came out of nowhere from Predictive. Just a huge fight for them all across the map. We had the 4v4 on the top side, and honestly, it just looked like Oblivion Esports got a little bit greedy in that scenario. They're invading into the red side jungle of Predictive Gaming Odin, and Predictive Gaming Odin, they had the vision. They're able to follow up, and kind of this re-engage, or this, you know, what am I trying to say? Kind of this engage that they're able to react with for Predictive Gaming Odin is just absolutely so powerful. When you jump into this Annie, when you jump into this Amumu, it becomes so hard for you because you're just going to get stunned up. And we saw a big ultimate from Whole Grain Man. A big ultimate was actually blown from Charizard beforehand, but even without it, you know, still able to throw out those bandage tosses and have the CC that they needed. And then in the bottom lane, Huff Zone, he's going to be pumped up after that solo kill. He was able to take against Mr. Turk, and we didn't see the start of it, but it wasn't even close. You know, like, Camille had so much more HP in the tank left, and so that's going to be just a ton of momentum for PGO, and just like that 3K gold lead that you had talked about, Rychains, it's gone.
Yeah, absolutely gone, and the gold lead is now in favor of PGO by about 500. So now with this next dragon spawning in 15 seconds, it is a potential Cloud Soul point for Predictive Gaming, and the tables have turned very, very massively here in this one. You can see on the top side, Swagger is going to be able to take that top lane inner tower. Teleport is available though, as they could join into this team fight in a few short seconds, but the dragon already started up here. El Matador looking for the threat. Death Sentence is going to find Charizard here, but the Blast Cone is available for El Matador to go over. Lantern is there as well here. Blitz Pusher going to stop it and is not going to find the Smite Steal, but Charizard is going into the back lines here. Christmas that moment is going to be on the 3 as the rocket jump's going to follow forward. Showstopper. Will Slam, we said AC back, but look at the damage from the set Haymaker. It doesn't matter though, because it's a 1v4. You're not going to win that one. A double kill going over to Charizard, and 2 more kills, and the dragon in the back pockets of Predictive Gaming Odin.
And they had them exactly where they wanted them, Rychains. Definitely not how you wanted that cross-map play to go if you're Oblivion Esports. They had the teleport advantage from the Diana. If Swagger had just backed off from that top lane, he would have been able to teleport back in and help his team. Whereas Huff Zone, he didn't have the teleport. He was just forced to respond from the split push by the Diana. So they could have easily forced a 4v5, which obviously would have made a huge difference in that scenario. We saw so much damage coming out from Mr. Turk on the set, just not enough to finish it. And you've got to think that in that situation, the Diana would have been the X factor to be able to take Oblivion Esports over the edge.
Yeah, Swagger would have been really, really big in that team fight, getting so much damage off, you know, likely with the Moonfall, with the plays. Was able to collect the inhibitor tower in that top lane, but now we're going to see PGO answering with the Rift Herald. Gonna find that outer tower, but Ginshu with the flash forward going in. Reset ADC could be in trouble. The Killer Instinct to follow up, as the Locket and the heal are enough to save Ginshu's like the shutdown going over to Reels, and this mid lane outer tower is down. You can see members of PGO running to try to defend from that, but the Rift Herald will get the second charge. No, it will not. A good job by Mr. Turk to take down Shelly before she's able to get the charge off on the inner tower. But Swagger in the side lane yet again. This time it's bot lane, securing the outer tower.
Yeah, and just don't give Ginshu this champion. Like, he's just so good on the Thresh. Time after time, he's just basically had a game full of highlight reel plays for the Thresh. So really impressive by him with that flash forward, you know, nailing the hook onto weak side ADC, which allows them to then take down that mid lane turret. obviously huge for allowing more vision control and map control from Oblivion, especially since PGO is already able to take the mid lane turret from away from Oblivion. But again, just to touch on what Swagger was able to trade back for that huge skirmish that PGO was able to pull off is that top lane inhibitor turret. And honestly, you know, it's been talked about, I think, quite a bit, especially in professional league recently, but there's always kind of the question of, is it worth it to take that inhibitor turret this early? Because now what happens is when you push in the wave, it becomes impossible for whoever's going to be split on the top lane for Oblivion to be able to farm. They have to put themselves into so much danger in order to farm that lane that honestly, it can end up just feeding free gold into Huff Zone, into whoever's going to be on the top side. Right now, it's actually Charizard. So will it be worth it or not to kind of make that trade? Right now, I would say no, but we'll see if Oblivion is able to show us that it was worth.
The objective lead is always going to look nice, right? You know, taking the towers is always going to feel good. Like, oh yeah, we're up 2 towers. But, you know, like you said, sometimes it can actually be a detriment to your game. We'll have to see, you know, how well PGO can actually counter this play. If it is to happen, you know, in the top side. But for the time being, 1 minute and 20 seconds left on this potential Cloud Soul for PGO. Now we're seeing a lot of these members just kind of scattered around the map right now. It looks like Weak Side AC is going to take the red buff, and the Baron pings are going onto this top side river here as the Baron is up. But, you know, Dragon Soul is in a minute, you guys. You got to set up some vision.
Yeah, and obviously Baron going to be a lot slower of a take. Neither of these teams to me has a particularly insanely fast Baron take either. So I don't think it's too scary for PGO in particular to have a little bit of vision on that top side, but other than that, not really worry about the Baron too much. And I always love to talk about with this Cloud Soul, definitely one that people like to kind of hate on. It doesn't necessarily bring the stats that some of the other Dragon Souls do, but I will say my favorite part about the Cloud Soul is the ultimate cooldown reduction. And when you look at the team comp from PGO, Amumu, Annie, Camille, like these are champions that have such impactful ultimates. Getting that cooldown reduction from the Cloud Soul is just, it's going to kind of take their team comp to another level, right? Being able to take these fights more and more often as their ultimates get onto that low cooldown. And, you know, with just 4 seconds until the spawn, it doesn't look like Oblivion is going to be in time to contest this.
Yeah, I mean, just free Dragon Soul gifted over to PGO here. Kind of confusing, but it looks like Oblivion is going to try and trade the Baron over. This is a relatively slow Baron. It's getting a little bit faster here. 6k on the objective. Teleports are coming in now from the rest of the members, but they are off for the time being. 6,000 health, as now the members of PGO are in the area and vicinity. Looking for maybe, I think, oh my gosh, bandage toss from downtown, gonna find a curse from Sad Mummy onto 4 members. As Reels is already dead, just one-shotted. Moonfall gonna hit off 3 members of Swagger goes golden for the time being, flashing out. Texas Ultimatum will delay the inevitable. Mr. Turk on the other side of the fight, looking for the 1v3, but that really is just not favorable numbers for anyone in this situation. Charizard still going massive, gonna go on a killing spree. Last member live is Ginshu, trying to buy as much time as they can, but Whole Grain Man is running it. Ginshu flashing away. Death Sentence gonna go wide right, but it doesn't matter because either way you're gonna die. Charizard crying tears of joy onto Ginshu, but is it enough? No, wait a minute. He walks it out. Either way, PGO turn their sights onto this Baron, and they are going to be wearing purple.
Yeah, and PGO, they display that their communication is just on another level from Oblivion right now. If you're Oblivion and you want to try to trade this Baron for the Soul, you have to be on it at the same time, or preferably before PGO is even starting this dragon. So I'm not sure if it was an issue of communication or if it was an issue of vision, but Oblivion Esports, you know, they're on this Baron very late. It looks like maybe their plan was to turn off of the Baron and try to take a favorable fight, but it just wasn't given to them by PGO. Huff Zone doing a great job of being able to kind of lightly face check, but on the Camille has so much safety. And then after that, you mentioned it in the Chancellor, or sorry, well, in the team fight, Riot Chains, when Reels is gonna gets blown up like he does, it gets so difficult for Oblivion to be able to have the amount of damage that they need to take down this team comp, especially when Diana isn't able to get inside of that Cataclysm and get a huge AoE ultimate, and Charizard. I mean, that was an absolutely beautiful ultimate. It can't get better than that.
That was massive. Just diving into the back. Just honestly going in 1v5, just does not even care. Has no regard for human life at all. And finding Curse the Sad Mummy onto 4, it's just massive here. And you can see the gold lead is still, not that big for what there is. Now weak side ADC could be in trouble here, jumping out of the Moonfall. But yeah, I mean, you're never going to win that if you're Tristana. Diana just does too much damage.
Yeah, just, definitely over-aggressive positioning by weak side ADC here. And it looks like Oblivion, they might want to try to follow up on that. They do have a 4v5 for the time being, but smart from PGO to just kind of back off. And now Huffzone, he ends up now being 2 levels up on this set. And the Camille, it scales so well. It has this split push pressure, and he's almost able to take the turret.
Ooh, really close on the flay, but the death sentence finds its mark. Now Puffstone could be in trouble here as the Lanterns, but there's no one to take it. Hexic Ultimatum's gonna buy some time to hook shot over the wall, followed by the flash from Mr. Turk. He is angry. Showstopper gonna slam down Huffzone and just delay the inevitable here. But he hookshotted into the Haymaker from set. Now fighting goes on into the mid lane here. Curse the Sad Mummy is onto a lot of members. The Charizard's gonna go on a rampage. He will fall down as Reels again just dies. Flash forward, a double kill comes through for Whole Grain Man, and now Mr. Turk is in trouble. One more auto will get the stun up, but the Lantern is available to safety, or is it? Bandage toss coming through at the last second to try to stop it, but either way, Mr. Turk and Ginshu will get out with their lives. Onto the mid lane inhibitor tower they go, as it is 4 for Predictive Gaming Odin. That tower is gone. The mid lane inhibitor is gonna fall as well here. And Predictive Gaming Odin crack open the base.
And it doesn't even matter that Huffzone ended up dying in that 1v2 because it just took so much time for Oblivion to be able to make that happen. In the meantime, PGO, they're pushing up that mid lane. They end up being able to take the advantage there. And what was crucial for me in that team fight, Swagger was locked out of the Cataclysm. He didn't have his E up to be able to dash in there. And without the additional damage from the Diana being available, it was just too difficult for Oblivion to get onto the carries of PGO. So with those carries on the backline untouched, specifically Whole Grain Man putting out a ton of damage in that fight, we just saw that it just wasn't even close. PGO able to close out that team fight. With this inhibitor down, it now becomes so difficult, but we've got a 1 minute until this Elder Dragon.
A little bit of a fight going on into this top laner. Swagger taking a shot at Puffzone here with Hexic Ultimatum. Swagger will go gold, and hookshot is utilized, and the stun comes through here, and Swagger is gonna go down. Puffstone will find the solo kill yet again, and I feel like I'm saying that more and more in these side lanes, as Puffstone is just going nuts in the side lane.
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely gotta give it to him there. And, if we could toggle to the gold on the Observer too, you can see that Huffzone, he's got about like an 800 gold lead on Mr. Turk. He's got just a lot of gold to his name in this game. But actually also when I'm looking at the gold, the Amumu has been able to pick up so much, 12K. He's the richest man in this game. So Charizard, he's got 6 kills, but he's been using it really well, right? Like he's been hitting these ultimates just on point. So gotta give it to the jungler from PGO.
Wow, okay, I thought El Matter was gonna get one shot. Charizard again, going in, gonna find it, flashing forward, gonna get the Curse of Sad Mummy onto 2. Ginshu will go down, as we said, ADC is gonna secure that one. Now the Showstopper on the back for Charizard, and a lot of damage comes through for Mr. Turk, and the team has kind of just left him to die, but he's still living for the time being. Oh, flashing forward, Moonfall gonna find 3 members. We said ADC will go gold, and Cataclysm gonna get Charizard into that pit here, but Mr. Turk getting a huge shield and damage from that Haymaker is going to survive for so long and find a kill back. Now the Hexic Ultimate comes through. Swagger is taking pretty low. Whole Grain Man's going to go golden, but it doesn't matter. Swagger cannot find the damage, and Swagger will go down. Still, long death timers on all of these members of Oblivion, except for Ginshu, who's going to be spawning now. But what can the Thresh do in the 1v3 situation? The Nexus towers are under siege here, as Ginshu is going to try their best. One Nexus tower is down. Looking for the second one here, as the box will be utilized up. But that was one Camille Q, did half of the Thresh's HP nothing Ginchu can do besides watch as their base is torn to shambles. Chars are gonna find a solo kill pretty much onto the Thresh here, and Oblivion Esports will go down. Predictive Gaming looking strong in game 1.
And gotta give it to Predictive Gaming. They stuck to their guns despite that skirmish in the top lane that did not go their way. It would have been really easy to get discouraged after that, but they were able to focus. They waited for Oblivion to falter in that invade into their topside jungle later on, and they took full advantage of that. After that team fight that went the way of PGO, they did not look back. And Huffzone, he put his money where his mouth is. We talked about this earlier in the game. There was just so much trash talk going back and forth, and if you're Mr. Turk, you definitely got to reevaluate what you want to do into this matchup coming into game 2, because Huffzone, his scoreline doesn't necessarily represent it, but he was just holding it down so strong just as in this top lane. Absolutely a huge reason that PGO was able to take the victory.
Absolutely, the top lane matchup was big in this game, but everyone really on PGO played very well here. We're going to take a short break, and we will be back shortly for the pick and ban for game 2 between Oblivion Esports and Predictive Odin, so don't go anywhere.
child in Valorant has heard the tale before about the cursed mummy boy who felt his heart no more. So sad and lorn, the helpless lad, Amumu was his name. He ventured out to find a friend and learn about his bane. For many years, young Amumu traveled through the lands, determined to make friends if only they would understand. But even when Amumu stood upon the ledge of home, his hope would disappoint him and he would remain alone. But then the curse began to whisper in his ear and would confirm what was Amumu's biggest fear. It pledged that never shall someone become his friend. It pledged that he shall be alone until his end. But sorrow and despair became too much to bear. The moment when Amumu realized what he had done, too late it was for him, for them, the evil curse had won. The anger and the anguish overwhelmed his fragile soul and caused a wicked tantrum that he never could control.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are back for the pick ban for game number 2 between Oblivion Esports and Predictive Gaming Odin. Predictive Gaming Odin taking a pretty dominant victory in game 1. So, hopefully for them, they're looking to complete the 2-0 sweep. But Oblivion has some work to do.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm going to look for Oblivion here to possibly save their counter pick actually for the top side this time. It just seems too dangerous to give Huffzone that counter pick. I mean, we'll see if they want to ban out the Camille here. Even I know Huffzone in the chat was talking about how he's undefeated on it so far in the CCS. But no, they are not going to ban away the Camille. They're thinking they probably have some sort of counter pick to it. But again, that is probably going to be conditional off of Oblivion saving that, and PGO, they're going to take a page out of Oblivion's book. Looks like they're going to go for the Jarvan first. And as we said in the first draft, this is a really strong jungle pick. It's definitely on the top tier of junglers ever since it got the changes in a couple patches ago. Definitely a dominant early game. And, to give credit to Oblivion, they were able to use the strong early game from Jarvan in that top lane skirmish. They just were not able to follow up on it.
Yeah, I mean, let's not forget that Oblivion was ahead 3,000 gold at 10 minutes in this game. I mean, they did and were able to get ahead early, but, just the one play where they overextended a bit too far into Predictive's jungle kind of, was their downfall. You can see Oblivion picking up the Trundle and Ziggs for their first rotation.
Yeah, and I like these pickups. Ziggs was banned away by PGO in game 1, so they clearly, not something that they especially want to play against. Obviously, we assume that this is going to go into the bot lane for Oblivion, and then Trundle. Just a really strong pickup right now. Can be flexed to the top lane, jungle, or support, so kind of a 3-way flex. I would be most surprised to see it go into the top lane, but you never know, and I do see HuffZone in the chat saying, ban the Camille. If it's open, I'm going to play it. So we'll see if PGO, if they want to get the Camille here, or if they want to, kind of see if Oblivion will call their buff, if they're willing to ban this champion away, because again, his scoreline wasn't that impressive, but when I was, there's the Camille. But when I was looking at the damage charts, HuffZone had the most damage dealt by any member in the game on this Camille. So now it's a question of, for Oblivion, if you left this open, it tells me that Mr. Turk, he has to have something planned. The set went okay against it in the early game, but as the game went on, we just saw the Camille just kind of bodying this set pick. So we'll see what Oblivion wants to pick up here before the second round of bans.
Yeah, I'm interested to see what this last pick is going to be here. It's going to be a Leona for the support role for Oblivion. So that's going to be likely paired up with the Ziggs in this bottom lane here. And to be honest, I would have kind of liked to see, one of these on-hit attack speed AD carries picked up for Predictive, like a Vayne. I've seen Kai'Sa's be going this build. I've seen you can even go Ashe. But just someone that can rush that Wit's End, it basically makes Ziggs in the bottom lane useless. At least that's what I've seen. So either way, though, it's going to be Tristana again for Weakside ADC. We saw, this player go to work on it in game 1. So it's definitely a comfort pick. We know that they can pop off on it. But we are now getting into these second rotation bans here. Support bans for Oblivion. That is going to be the Braum and the Thresh. And then for Predictive, they're looking to ban out the Shen and probably one more solo lane ban. I think they're expecting the Trundle to be in the jungle for the time being. So we'll see what happens here. Malphite, yeah. So another top lane ban, trying to target Mr. Turk as much as they can.
Yeah, now we're going to see if, it makes actually now the most sense to pick for the top lane from Oblivion, so you can save that last pick for Swagger to kind of get a counter pick. But touching a little bit on these second round bans from Oblivion, I like the way that they pinched the support role. They not only banned the Thresh and the Braum, but they had already taken away the Trundle earlier. Trundle, one of the biggest counters to Leona with that ultimate, and the Jax being picked by Mr. Turk. That is a huge skill matchup. Throwdown being picked here. So, again, Mr. Turk, he wants to put it in his own hands on this Jax. I'm not really super familiar with this matchup, but what I do know is that both of these teams, these characters snowball so hard. And, we did think that a little bit of the matchup in game 1, but Jax, such a stronger snowballing champion than the set. So it's really going to be a focus on top lane again here in game 2.
Yeah, this one's going to be a battle in the top side here, the Jax into Camille matchup. And a lot of people say, Jax is like the biggest hard counter to Camille. And, we'll see. We'll see. Mr. Turk has the game and the lane in his hands here. He didn't feel good getting, tossed around in game 1. So you can see back with a vengeance. Morgana is going to be the support choice for Predictive, and Fizz looks like going to be locked in for this mid lane.
Yeah,
rounding out their
Blind Fizz is just a really confident pick here from Whole Grain, man. Not something I would have expected. On the analyst desk, we talked about how Fizz, he's bound to get a bunch of buffs in this next patch, but obviously hasn't happened yet. So I guess Whole Grain, man, maybe just training for this big Worlds patch using the Fizz, and it's going to be the Galio to counter it out. Definitely a counter pick to the Fizz. Galio, he's got that magic damage shield available to him, so that'll be nice. On top of that, I like the Galio paired up with the Leona and the Ziggs. Definitely gives Oblivion Esports kind of the ability to layer those ultimates on top of each other and just trap a lot of people into the mega Inferno bomb.
Yeah, I'm liking this Oblivion Esports composition. I think they have a lot of good lanes. They have a lot. I mean, both of their solo lanes are counterpicked, or they got the counterpick in both of their solo lanes. I'm interested to see how this bot lane. Ziggs is a champ that is like really, really, prone to getting jumped early. You have the Leona to kind of peel for you a little bit, but Tristana and Morgana can still do a lot of work. Leona can't peel if you have a black shield. So
Yeah, and definitely, if this Ziggs ever gets caught out by a Dark Binding when there's full health from the PGO bot lane, it's going to get really scary. You already said it, but Tristana can just jump on top of that Ziggs, and then even with the Leona back there, it becomes really difficult for the Ziggs to be able to survive, especially with the Morgana as kind of this sort of mage support, able to bring more damage to the table than something like a Braum last game was able to do. So I would look for PGO to be trying to make picks onto this Ziggs, maybe even bringing the Jarvan down there early to try to get some gank action off. But at the same time, it's kind of a hard choice for the junglers, right? Because we already said this top lane, it's going to be a massive throwdown, and both junglers, they're always going to be kind of magnetized towards this top lane.
how could you not? How could you not want to go into this top lane and try to fight? I mean, we've seen and we've heard all of the talk that's gone, back and forth between these guys. Mr. Turk's Discord life is on the line right now. And you can see, pick the Jax, gets the big counter pick into the lane. Definitely going for blood in this one. So I definitely expect both of these junglers to be topside a whole lot in this game. I wonder if we're going to get both of them starting, on bottom side so they actually can fight level 3 in the top lane. But, we will see if they opt to do that mirrored start.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think PGO's composition might be sharing some of the actually weaknesses that Oblivion's composition felt in the first game, which is that this J4, the Camille, and the Fizz, they all go in. They don't really go out afterwards. So they're very good at what they do. Certainly the Cataclysm and the Hextech Ultimatum does a great job of locking people into place. But if they are not able to kill the Ziggs, it becomes, they're missing a lot of damage, especially with Tristana on the backline, might be able to be jumped out onto by something like the Jax. And then the Galio from Oblivion is able to provide that level of safety so that when the Jarvan and the Camille jump in, are they trapping themselves into this heroic entrance? That's really going to be the question for me. And so I think that PGO, they kind of have that snowballing comp that Oblivion actually had in the last game. So I think PGO probably looking to capitalize on the strength that they had towards the mid to late game of that last game and just carry that into this matchup, try to take it 2-0.
Yeah, absolutely here. And I did say this earlier, but PGO took game one in pretty commanding fashion here as they moved on into the mid to late stages of the game. Got to win this one to get the 2-0 sweep. And Oblivion, their chances at a second seed in the playoffs is on the line here. This is a win. You must win this game if you want to have a high seed in playoffs. So we will see what happens, but we are going to get into this competitive integrity spectator delay, and we're going to take a short break, but we'll see you guys back here in a few short minutes on the riff for game number 2 between Predictive Gaming, Odin, and Oblivion Esports. So don't go anywhere. we are back onto the Rift for game number 2 between Oblivion Esports and Predictive Gaming Odin. For Predictive in the top lane, also on Camille, Charizard in the jungle, on the Jarvan, Holgren Man, on Fizz in the mid lane, and Weakside ADC and Odd Mitch rounding out the bottom lane with Tristana Morgana.
And for Oblivion Esports, we got Mr. Turk throwing down on the Jax in the top lane, Matador piloting the Trundle in the jungle, Swagger69 going to be on the Galio in the mid lane, Reels taking up the Ziggs, and Ginshu rounding it out with Leona support.
Yeah, both of these teams just looking for a 5-point defense here, trying to find and scout out any vision. You can see Charizard dropped the flag on El Matador, and he was not feeling it. He was not happy about that. So we'll see, if El Matador comes into this game with a vengeance, will invade action or something like that.
Yeah, and I just want to point out right away, Huffzone, he takes the Ignite this game on the Camille, so definitely takes away a little bit of the safety in the top lane for him, but Camille favoring this Ignite actually quite often right now in this meta, just because she does have that hook shot for the escape, and I think it makes a lot of sense for what Huffzone did taking this Ignite into the Jax, just because we know that there will be a point in this game at which he needs to be able to challenge this Jax 1v1. Yes, there might be jungle attention there, but there will be a point where each of these champions, the Camille and the Jax, are going to want to do what they do best, which is split push. And so whichever champion is able to consistently win these 1v1s, it's going to make it very, very difficult for the other team, especially, if they're able to set up kind of these 1-3-1s or 1-4 situations. So we're always going to keep an eye on this top lane to see which of these champions can take a lead early.
Interestingly enough, we're seeing another near jungle start here by these junglers. El Matador starting on the top side on that red buff, and Charizard starting on his red buff on bot side. So I think this actually is going to be PGO favored, just because supposedly, this Camille not supposed to get the better of this matchup. You see level 2s in the bottom side here. A lot of damage coming out onto Ginshu with that Morgana Q, and then the bomb stacked up from weak side, but early level 2 is pretty strong.
Yeah, so it will be the exhaust drop from Ginshu. That is going to be a pretty major cooldown that's used by the Oblivion bot lane. And the level 2 strength from Odd Mitch and Weakside ADC on this bottom lane combination is extremely strong. Tristana able to pick up that jump at level 2, and then Odd Mitch between that pool as well as the binding, just bringing a lot of strength. So even though they weren't able to pick up any kind of kill here, having that exhaust down just opens the door up for an all-in later. So, another Dark Binding gonna land here. I would look for, if another one lands when it's not such a big wave stacked up, I think they're gonna jump right on top of Reels.
Yeah, absolutely. And you can actually see that Huffzone took a cheater recall, but I don't think he crashed the wave fully in the tops. But either way, it'll still push back, so no problem. But yeah, Huffzone taking that early recall, picking up an extra Doran's Blade. So a little more combat stats coming out into this Jax for some more fighting. And check it out, Charizard is sitting and waiting in this top side river bush to look for a little gank.
Yeah, and if Mr. Turk is smart here, he will not come up to try to challenge, but it looks like he is possibly going to go in. No, he's just going to, use his stun and jump out to safety. So good for him, but PGO would have really liked to make a gank happen there in the top lane. The snowballing just so hard from the Camille, and this Jarvan also is so strong with the early ganks. So very intelligent there.
Ooh, Holgren Man could be in trouble. Taken pretty low as both junglers are now in this mid lane. Charizard and El Matador making their presence known. Double flashes coming out for the PGO side, and the first blood will go over to Charizard. Holgren Man is going to fall to El Matador on the backside of that play here. And a 1-for-1 so far. Both mid laners going down and both junglers picking up the kills.
Yeah, and the wave will be crashing in to the turret from Swagger. And because Swagger opted for this Ignite rather than something like a teleport, it means that he will not be able to pick up all these minions.
Odd Mitch knocked into the tower here. Had to burn both, or actually had to burn the flash to get out of that one, as well as the heal from weak side. Just a little extra sustainability there.
Yeah, that was just beautiful from Reels. using his W to knock in order to knock Odin back into the tower using that satchel charge. And as trading continues into the mid lane, we can see why this Galio was picked into the Fizz, having that extra magic damage shield and kind of being this melee champion that is able to hold its own when the Fizz does jump in. It definitely pays dividends, and I kind of question the blind pick Fizz from Whole Grain Man. Obviously not getting punished too hard when we look at the CS, especially with that wave that did crash into the turret. Now Matador was able to soak it up, so it does put the Trundle a little bit ahead, but Swagger will see himself grab level 6 a little bit later.
Odmid's doing a little invade, trying to just, you know, be the little fly in El Matador's ear here. But PGO onto this Infernal Dragon, and they're going to secure that one for themselves here. The early dragon stacking continues for Predictive Gaming Odin.
Yeah, and we saw that pay off for Predictive Gaming in game 1. The dragon stacking was absolutely huge. They ended up being able to grab that soul and ultimately were able to snowball it into the fight that basically it got them the Baron and it won them the game. So Dragon 1, okay, that's fine to give up if you're Oblivion Esports, but I would be wary if I was Oblivion about giving up more dragons, because we know that the timing for PGO around these objectives was really strong in game 1, and now we really see the Galio just kind of punishing Whole Grainman on this Fizz. And the problem is he throws out, it looks like the Shark just for wave clear, and that's the problem for the Fizz. When you're so low of HP, you can't really threaten those roams, you can't really threaten the all-ins onto the opposing mid laner. The other thing that this Galio does well against the Fizz, it has really strong wave clear. So if you push in the Fizz all the time, it means that Fizz can't get to where they want to be, which is in the fog of war, forcing Mr. Turk or Reels and Ginshu to back off. And as long as the Fizz is held in lane, just becomes a lot less scary.
Yeah, we are approaching 7 minutes and 30 seconds into this game here. The gold is about even, 300 in favor of PGO. They are up a dragon to their name as well, but I do want to just mention the solo lane CS differential right now for both of the Predictive Gaming solo laners. They have a lot, they have at least a wave up on both of them. You can see in the top side, Huffstone is up, 2.5 waves on Mr. Turk. Yeah, the wave is crashing. He'll be able to pick some of that back up. But either way, the Gilded is there. Now we're going to see again coming through. Hextech Ultimate is going to try to buy some time onto Mr. Turk. Hookshot gets canceled, I think, as Mr. Turk has to flash away. The Ignite ticking down, but it is not enough damage. That Triumph looks like it came through clutch, and Huffstone will go down.
Yeah, absolutely beautiful gank from El Matador. I would have to see it again to be absolutely sure, but I think you called it right, Chains. I think that pillar might have somehow interrupted the hook shot. Not really exactly sure, but either way, that is kind of the danger on this Camille of opting for the Ignite instead of the hookshot, because Huffzone knew the second he saw El Matador there on the Trundle, he has nowhere to go but in, right? So he tries to fight, he does drop the Ignite, but not quite able to get it, and now Charizard looking for a potential lane gank.
Charizard is sniffing this out here. Reels could be in trouble. Cataclysm is available as both flashes as well for the Oblivion Esports bottom lane, so they will be able to get out of it. But we'll see how well the CC chain comes through. Oddmitch stepping up, posturing, gonna find the Dark Binding here as Exhaust taking down onto him. Exhaust onto Ginshu as the Mega Inferno Bomb will not really find its mark. As for the time being, both summoners burned from Ginshu, as well as the Exhaust and Heal burn from the PGO bot lane. Now more and more fighting goes up in this top side, hookshot to get away from the Jax Counter-Strike stun.
Yeah, and we can see for Mr. Turk, when he knows that Charizard is down in this bot lane, that's when it's the go button for this Jax. That's when he knows he's not under threat of the gank, and he's going to jump in for another stun here. And, Huffstone definitely doing a good job, though, of trading back. It is still going to be, quite even in these trades. Both these top laners, just really willing to fight it, really willing to go at it. But now another big wave going to be pushed into the turret of Huffstone, and assuming he is able to pick up most of these under the turret, which is pretty easy with Camille. Her Q gives you the ability to, secure those last hits. Gonna be an even bigger CS lead, looking like maybe gonna be like about 15.
Yeah, gonna be back up to about 2.5 waves, and you see pings now coming for Oblivion onto that Rift Herald. Charizard is still on the bottom side of the map, and we're gonna see maybe Hearthstone sniffs this out, but it looks like uncontested Rift Herald is gonna go over to Oblivion.
So it's just kind of the story of Game 1, similar to the story of Game 2 here. The Dragons being favored by Predictive Gaming Odin, whereas Oblivion, they want to favor that Rift Herald. Didn't exactly end up working out for Oblivion in Game 1, but we'll see if it works out for them here in Game 2, as it is just going to be about 20 seconds for this Dragon. And once again, we see that Predictive Gaming Odin, they are ready for this to spawn, whereas Oblivion, they got to get some recalls off if they want to be able to contest this one.
Yeah, PGO. They're already, down in this bottom side river. They have the dragon set up already. And I imagine that Charizard is just going to start it up. Holgren Man is still stuck in the mid lane. And the bottom side for PGO as well. The wave is about reset. So it doesn't really matter because Matador back. So this is just free reign for Charizard to hit this dragon.
Yeah, Charizard just going to be able to pick it up, even though the wave is pretty even. We see that the bot lane and PGO, they are going to be the first to move over, so it is going to be a free Drake. We'll see if they try to look for a fight on this backside from Oblivion, but the grouping just really strong here from Predictive Gaming, and it's just not going to happen for them.
I mean, yet again, PGO, 2 early dragons, just like Game 1. You know what they say, history repeats itself, so... I'm wondering, it's going to be an Ocean Soul. The Ocean brings life, and now we're going to see a gank into the mid lane here. Swagger could be in trouble. Cataclysm drop down as the playful Trickster finds the kills there. Now into the bottom side he goes. El Matador isn't going to on mid. She's going to find the kills there, but the Dark Binding from the grave will find a stun. Not enough damage, though, from the tower to take it down, and now this bot lane outer tower could be in trouble. Puffzone looking for the solo kill. Mr. Turk. It's gonna go down with that Q. Oh my gosh, another solo kill for Puffzone. And yet again, history repeats itself. Oblivion takes the first tower. This time it's in the bottom lane. Also gets another solo kill, and then more plates are cracked in the mid lane for PGO. So the gold lead is back in favor of Oblivion for the time being, about 1.5k, a little less than 1.5k gold. But they are down 2 dragons.
Yeah, and that's going to be about an 800 gold lead just for Puffzone on the top in the top lane. That's going to be a really big deal, and we do see that we're going to see a little bit of a lane swap coming out here from Oblivion Esports, and I wonder if that means that Mr. Turk is saying, "Hey, we're kind of at this point where I'm not going to match the Camille right now, still trying to work on that first item from the Jax, and now with the Divine Sunder already coming out from the Camille, plus that additional Doran's Blade, we see why Huffzone, he was willing to go for that early back for those combat stats. If you're able to pull off solo kills like that, it does make it worth it. But now we see, this lane swap, it is pretty smart from Oblivion Esports, because getting that Ziggs up into the top lane, where obviously Huffzone, he's not at the point where he can 1v2, and the Ziggs, it takes on those turret plates really quickly, and if they don't counter it, it'll be difficult.
Hold on one sec here, as the Shark is going to land a nice exhaust immediately onto Holgren Man, but the Troll Pole takes down Real Solar Flare. Gonna buy some time for Ginshu, but Ginshu just has to run, as 3 members of PGO are in this top side, and Holgren Man is gonna find a kill for themselves on the Fizz.
Yeah, and he just makes it look easy there, and when Reels does not have the flash available, it is really hard for this Ziggs to get away from the Fizz, kind of going to show us why they wanted to pick that up. But I think something that else is interesting to me here is because Reels and Ginshu on this Ziggs and Leona bot lane were able to pick up that bottom lane turret so quickly, it is still a bit of a gold lead from Oblivion until...
Ooh, Puffzone looking for it. Gonna find another solo kill under the tower. Hextech Ultimatum to get onto Mr. Turk. And, right now, if you're Mr. Turk, your Discord life is in danger. You're wondering, maybe did I make a mistake here? Betting, I'm gonna leave the server if we lose, because, Puffzone is making you eat your words right now. Looking huge on this Camille in game 2.
Yeah, it's scary right now for this Jax, and I already said it's gonna be the Jax maybe moving towards that bottom lane to be able to get a little bit more free farm, to be able to finish an item and start to have parry against this Camille. At this point, it's going to be a very long time until the Jax has any ability to do so. So, and now we do see Hubstone. He was able to take the turret, but now he's in danger.
Here we go. Now Hubstone is in trouble in the middle of 3 members. The shutdown will go over to Mr. Turk. A little bit aggressive there after taking that tower, But either way, got the tower in. Mid lane tower is as well under siege. Mega Inferno Bomb is going to do some damage, try to clear out the way, but the flash in! Zenith Blade is going to find and follow. We said ADC, Odin has to go golden as he will go down as well. A double kill comes through for reals. And what else can Oblivion get? The gold lead back up to 800 in their favor.
Yeah, and that's huge. And weak side ADC there, when you are playing Tristana, you have to know how to buffer your W, that rocket jump correctly, because we saw there, if weak side ADC just kind of waits out the solar flare from Leona, then he is able to
Reels!
save people. Oh! As Reels just briefed that.
Oh baby, this is a giant shark here. Throw Genshu is gonna come over the top. The tower is still not dead as Genshu will go down to the tower. Swagger in trouble as well. But a nice job blocking the Justice Punch by Whole Grain Man. Is there gonna be a double kill traded back to Puff Zone? And just back and forth it goes. These teams are playing catch with each other right now as the dragon, the 3rd dragon of the game, likely will go over to PGL, and that's gonna put them on another soul point.
I was literally just about to say that Oblivion had themselves in such a good position there because, they were able to pick up that double kill onto Reels. They should have been able to transition it straight over to the Dragon and slow the stacking, but instead, Reels dies to the turret, and then after that, they're continually trying to get this last 5 HP off of the turret. Genshu steps up, he dies before he's able to get it. Swagger finally able to take the turret, but at the cost of his life. It's just certainly not worth it, and that is just really disappointing to see, if I'm being honest, from Oblivion Esports, because when you leave that mid lane turret at 5 HP or whatever it's at, that's fine. You can always come back later and grab that, but instead just basically honestly griefing like 3 kills under that turret, giving over the Dragon. Now PGO, they are 200 gold behind, but it's basically just because of that turret take, and despite that small gold lead, it does really seem like Predictive Gaming is in the driver's seat here.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, the gold lead is negligible, right? Predictive is up 3 dragons, and they have a potential, Ocean Soul at 22 minutes. Yet again, this is like just a rinse and repeat from game 1. And, if you're... Hold on. Charizard might be walking pretty aggressively here. El Matador from the side. Solar Flare is not going to find anything. The slow is blocked out by the shield. Now going in. Cataclysm is going to find 2 members. As Reels is going to find the killing spree. Now weak side ADC could be in trouble. Has a nice job using that explosive... Or buster shot, rather. To buy some space. Now on the top side, Huffstone is going to spawn up that Herald and threaten this top lane inner tower. It will go down as Mr. Turk pretty much can just watch. Crockentress is not yet available from Swagger, but you can see now the members of Oblivion are walking up. Also, you need to run. You have to run. There's 3 people here. Gonna get stunned up, throw, punch. And yeah, I mean, Hextech Ultimate is gonna buy some time, but there's really nothing you can do. Just a bit of an overstay there. However, did get the charge onto that inhibitor tower, so I guess that's what they were looking for, but either way, I think it's still not that good.
Yeah, I definitely agree. Ride Chains, I think he definitely should have backed off there. I was just about to say, it was over a 2k gold lead just on the Camille over this Fizz. Now thanks to the shutdown going over, over the Jax. My apologies. But now with the Jax being able to pick it up, still a big gold lead. It looks like it's gone down to about 1500. So still about over half an item ahead from the Camille. But if you just back off, you don't need need the Rift Herald to dive onto that inhibitor turret. Obviously, these inhibitor turrets, they respawn health. So by the time that Huffstone's able to get back up there again, there's a good chance that that top lane inhibitor turret is going to be, you know, much higher in HP. But, you know, time will tell whether he's able to make it happen. But again, we are seeing multiple times now in this game why, you know, there is a disadvantage to not taking Flash on the Camille. Not sure if it would have saved him then. You know, there were at least 3 members of Oblivion over on that side, but definitely could have potentially helped. And I like that Oblivion, they're still looking for a play here. They do have some vision control in this top side jungle.
The Baron has spawned. It is now on the table for either one of these teams to take a minute 45 on a potential Ocean Soul Dragon for Predictive Gaming Odin. Oblivion has to stop here, and now Holger Man's going to look for Reels. Reels burning the flash. Solar Flare is not really that close, and a nice job buffering the rocket jump for that time. Let's see what PGO can do on the disengage here, as 2 members might be caught. El Matador is really far forward, and Odd Mitch has to kind of burn the flash. Dragon Inferno Bomb, as well as Subjugate onto Charizard. A big sustain coming through, but the Cataclysm is huge. Gonna find 2 members as the shutdown goes over to weak side. 80 carry into the backside. Here we go, as Huffzone is now joined the party. Ginshu taken really low as Fulgurman gonna get the shutdown onto Reels. Mr. Turk, the last man standing, as the Soul Shackles are gonna be broken away. Mr. Turk running for the hills. His weak side AC in the flash forward. Hook shot will not find the stun, but the nice job with that black shield to dodge out of the Jax counter strike. Odd Mitch comes huge. Otherwise, their weak side ADC would have certainly died to that play. 45 seconds left on the Dragon. Death timers on all of the members of Oblivion here. This bottom lane inner tower will go down as well here, and a potential pickup of Ocean Soul yet again for PGO is in the cards right now.
Yeah, and PGO, absolutely beautiful in that team fight. The problem for Oblivion is that they just couldn't get onto the Tristana. We saw Swagger was able to land the taunt at the beginning onto Trist, but the rocket jump away by weak side ADC kept her alive, and then after that, she's just on the backline able to hit so well with Charizard, zoning multiple members into that Cataclysm, trapping them inside those walls, which meant that weak side ADC was just able to free hit on the backline, just wasn't in any danger. Until Mr. Turk finally tries to threaten it at the end, but by that time it was just too late. And now not only are, you know, Predictive Gaming here able to challenge for this.
Hold on, I'm gonna stop you real quick here, as El Matador walking a bit too far forward, gonna go down. Now Holgren, man, is just running wild, gonna go dominating onto Reels, as Ginshu is now in the area, has to go golden for the time being. A Solar Flare is gonna find the stuns, but the shutdown goes over to Swagger nonetheless. Ocean Soul for PGO. They're wearing it once again in game 2. And right now, they still have the numbers advantage. 4v3 in favor of them here, as Oblivion is missing their jungler and their bot laner. PGO posturing up for this Baron, taking the crab. They could look for it here. 9 seconds still on El Matador, and he still has to run all the way over to the pit. And it looks like they are starting. Oddmitch gonna zone out the remaining 3 members of Oblivion. They have no smites yet available. Charizard does have the smite, and now we're going to see an engage coming through. Oddmitch taking dangerously low here, as the rest of the team has come off of the Baron. Charizard going to get stunned up. Mr. Turk trying to dive into the backline, but the Mega Inferno Bomb will find the last hit onto him. Ginshu will go down as the heroic entrance comes over the top, and Swagger tries to find knockouts, but can't find anything for now. El Matador is now back in the game, back in the area, and it's a 4v4 in favor of... I guess right now it's a favorite PGO because the other team's missing the support, but that is going to be an absolutely massive shark. Full frame, man, is an animal on the Fizz. A triple kill for him. Swagger flashing over the wall, but the rocket jumps to follow it up. The rest of PGO is chasing him down. Give him the quadra. No, as Huffstone will take away the A's here for PGO. They're now up 7 kills. They turn their sights onto the Baron. It's only Ginshu alive. The Leona versus the world. And she stopped a Baron. Likely not here, as Charizard is running back from base. The smite will be available, but it might just go before even you know, there's even a chance for Ginshu. Solar Flare is available. Here we go. This could be the hero play. Solar Flare? No, not even close, but it's okay. As the rest of the solo laners go over, try to find this extra kill. Rocket jump for good measure. Weak side wants to join the party. Locket will buy some time, but the playful trickster will prevail here as another kill goes over to Whole Grain Man. Now 10-2-4 on this Fizz. He's going crazy. Another shark onto El Matador, trying to damage check himself here. But maybe this is not the best situation. Into 3 members gets taunted and just killed. A bit too aggressive there, but I like it. I respect the effort no matter what.
And Whole Grain Man putting the team on his back in that team fight, which was now so long ago. You called it out, Ride Chains. Just a beautiful ultimate coming through from the Fizz. Immediately recognizing that Reels, he's in danger. He's the biggest single damage threat on the side of Oblivion. And once he was able to take him out, it just becomes so easy then to clean up the rest of the fight for PGO. They have so many tools to be able to chase down the opposing team between this Camille, between the lockdown that comes out from the Morgana, and now at this point it is over a 5k gold lead. It's going to be really hard for Oblivion.
Swagger into the Hextech ultimatum, gonna go gold and try to buy some time. Nice job dodging out of the hook shot, and now the teleports are coming in. Hearthstone in the 1v3. This is a story that we've seen before, like 3 or 4 times, with so much healing comes through, still living. But finally will go down here. Reels in the mid lane, has to burn the flash to get out of the Cataclysm. Either way, I feel like we're seeing this more and more as Hearthstone just a bit too aggressive in the side lane.
Yeah, Hearthstone definitely biting off a little bit more than he can chew again. Got to give it to Swagger there, doing a nice job surviving. But meanwhile, they weren't able to actually pick off Reels on this Ziggs, but he is being forced to use his flash on cooldown. Flashing again out of that, away from the Jarvan to save his own life. And what that means is that this biggest damage that, and here's Whole Grain Man, he wants to take advantage of it.
Ooh, Reels gonna go golden to buy some time. As Xenoplay's gonna follow Whole Grain Man all the way into the rest of the team. Heroic entrance comes through from Swagger, but no knockups are to be found as all the rest of the members of PGO have already left the building. Elder Dragon is in 1 minute and 45 seconds now. As you can see, Whole Grain Man, a menace, going on to El Matador. Ignite ticking down, will find the kills there, as Swagger can do nothing but watch as his jungler gets deleted. On the top side, Inhibitor is under threat here, as Hearthstone and Charizard are relentless. Whole Grain Man joins the party. In the top side, is Mega Inferno Bomb used to try to clear out the way, but the minions are wearing purple. PGO is wearing purple. They got 2 cannon minions, and they are not scared of anything. Mid lane is the next target for these teams, as the inhib will go down as well. Flashing forward, Whole Grain Man is a menace, will find the kill and go golden to drop the tower aggro. Charizard is tanking, but it doesn't matter because Whole Grain Man will just go down right away as a double kick comes for Swagger. This may be a bit too much aggression from PGO, but I don't think it matters because they're just too far ahead. Under the tower, Soul Shackle is going to find the stun onto 1, but now El Matador is back in the game. Triple kill for Swagger as Charizard is the next target for Oblivion Esports, with Flag and Drag will buy some space. Elder Dragon is in 45 seconds. You can see the pings coming down from Oblivion. They say, listen, this is our time. This is our chance to get back into this game. We're down 2 inhibitors, but the Elder Dragon is spawning. Hearthstone will be up before, but only about 10 seconds before, so not going to be able to make it to the pit right on the spawn. But we'll be there shortly. No teleport is available.
Yeah, and I'm a little bit disappointed, to be honest, in PGO. They're going a little bit too deep. It looked like they wanted to be able to end the game. Maybe they thought they had it in the tank to do so, but this Swagger on the Galio, he has the Justice Punch, and, he has his taunt to be able to lock people down into this turret, which just made it too difficult to end. And what I would have liked to see out of PGO is just, going back to base, resetting, taking advantage of that gold you have, because you mentioned it, Ride Chains. This is the only chance now that Oblivion would have to come back into this game with the Elder Drake, and now it's going to be an even fight.
Here we go, 5v5 on this Elder Dragon here. This is going to be what decides the game likely. Charizard is in the pit. Whole Grain Man is going to find top of the Zenith Blade and go down. Does he have the chance to use any abilities? No! Now Charizard is still going to look for this Cataclysm, gets onto 3, but Heroic Entrance will counter a lot of the engage. Weak side ADC goes down as well. A shutdown, but Charizard will find Genshu on the back side. You have to get onto Reels here. Flag and Drag's going to find the knockdown him. The Puff Zone will find it as well, but will go down. Oddmitch, the only member left, as the double kill comes for El Matador. And oh no, disaster strikes for Predictive Gaming Odin. But look at the base. Oddmitch buying as much time as they can here. gonna force out the stopwatch from Swagger, but look at, the base. One Nexus Tower is gone. The next one is so dangerously low, it will go down as well. And onto the Elder Dragon they go, as Mr. Turk has to go back into this base. Eyes on Puffstone's teleport here. It will be coming up shortly, or at least in the next minute or two. So it could be an option to TP and backdoor. This Elder's taken pretty low, but I think it should be fine.
Yeah, it's certainly unfortunate to lose both of those Nexus turrets for Oblivion Esports, but they did what they needed to do. Had they lost that team fight, they would have been out of this game. Instead, they're able to take the team fight, picking off Whole Grain Man right at the beginning with a great solar flare from Ginshu. That was absolutely massive. Whole Grain Man, though, he wants some revenge.
Swagger! Hit by the shark and will go down.
Yeah, able to pick up that kill, but now with Oblivion Esports being able to sport that Elder Dragon buff, it does give them such a huge amount of damage, having that ability to finish off some of the members from PGO. So PGO, you see them camping in the bush now. They need to fight this very intelligently, and meanwhile they are trying to fight this as a 5-man squad, but Oblivion, they're just on the other side of the map by the Baron.
What am I watching here? They're leaving their base open. They have Super Minions pushing in the top side as well. I wonder if they thought that PGO was on Baron. That's probably the only thing I can think of. I mean, the fact that Oblivion has the Elder Dragon doesn't really mean too much here. Like, I mean, you could see Predictive is just kind of waiting. There's no rush at all. If anything, Oblivion's on the timer with the double 2 waves of supers coming in the top and the mid lane, but it looks like they're just gonna be wait this out and try to kind of just fake Oblivion into hitting the Nash. And here we go.
Right here.
Now they're going for the Nexus. You can see the backs coming through as Hookshot trying to get as close as they can. The Shark will come through as Heroic enters over the top. Have to be careful of the Elder Dragon here as watch weak side. Weak side taken really low. Has to go golden and try to buy some time, but it doesn't matter because the Nexus is down. PGO take the 2-0 sweep over Oblivion.
Oh, and PGO, they even had me tricked. I thought that PGO was sitting in that bush trying to get the pick, and I was really puzzled, to be honest, because I thought, why would Oblivion want to walk over onto that side of the map whatsoever? Like, they don't have any reason. There wasn't any objective, but really, they did have wards, and PGO had wards over on that Baron side of the river. They were just lying in wait. They wanted Oblivion to be baited over to that Baron to try to start it up, and they took their opportunity. They ran in, and it was pretty close. I mean, I'll give it to Oblivion because of that Elder Dragon buff, but with the Tristana, with the Camille that are able to do so much damage to structures, they took down the Nexus before Oblivion was able to, kill the members from PGO, and PGO, they win it in a 2-0.
Absolutely, PGO looking pretty strong in this series today. I do want to highlight just the solo laners, Puffstone and Whole Grain Man. Eat your Wheaties, because Whole Grain Man was going off today. That just proves it to you. And Puffstone, gets the better of this trash talk in the top side. Unfortunately, we are going to be saying goodbye to Mr. Turk forever, because he does have to leave the Discord now. Either way, it was a very, very entertaining series. Overall, Predictive Gaming Odin going to take it in a 2-0 sweep. I hope you guys enjoyed the cast, but that is going to be all for us today for week 8 of the Classic Championship Series. I've been Rychains, joined by Elsa the Queen. I hope you guys had a fun time here watching. I know I did. And we'll see you guys next week for some week 9 action. Last week, regular season, so it'll be a good one. See you guys later.